My name is Tiffany Hypes, and I'm the Executive Director of the Summersville Area Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, thank you for being here, and I would like to welcome each of you to tonight's Meet the Candidate event. We are so glad to see such a wonderful turnout from our community. I would also like to take a moment to recognize our Chamber, which is proudly supported by our 15 dedicated board members who help make events like this possible. A very special thank you to those who helped make tonight such a success would be the Nicholas County Career Technical Center for preparing our cookies, Fresh Start Market for providing us with greenery to make our stage beautiful, the Old Main Arts and Heritage Center for allowing us to host this event in their beautiful venue, Nicholas Chronicle for their dedication to keeping our community informed, and SCTV for recording tonight's event for future viewing and also streaming live so those who could not attend in person can still participate and ask questions online. I would also like to extend a sincere thank you to all of the candidates who have taken time to be here this evening. Running for office is no small commitment, and your willingness to serve our community is truly appreciated. Events like this are an important part of a strong and informed community. Tonight provides an opportunity for you, the voters, to hear directly from our candidates, learn about their platforms, and better understand their vision for the future of our area. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Jason Eads from the City of Summersville and also a member of our Chamber Board of Directors. He will be serving as the moderator for this evening's event. Thank you again for being here, and enjoy the evening.
Last week, I had the privilege of leading students to our nation's capital. If you've ever visited our nation's capital, you know that there are some sites at the Capitol that you're not necessarily prepared for. One of those sites that I was not prepared for was the Iwo Jima Monument. We also walked through the veterans of World War I, World War II, all of those monuments. And I remember our tour guide was telling us as we were going through those places, she was encouraging us to be solemn. And she was like, this is a place sometimes where people come to grieve. And as we got out, of course I'm with kids, they may not understand the gravity of that. So they're joking around, maybe jumping some, skipping, things of this nature. And I'm, trying to tell them, hey, solemn just means you will kind of walk through and kind of take it in. I was also greeted by the vast, large monuments of the Lincoln Memorial. No idea it was that big. The MLK Monument, FDR. If you've been there, you know these things. As we were walking through, man, it just continued to hit me as I walked through there, how great our country is. The sacrifices that those people made before us. And because of those sacrifices, we get to do this today. We get to elect people to positions in government that get to make decisions, that get to make policies, that get to lobby the interest of our fellow citizens. It is important. And growing up, I didn't understand how important it really was. But it is important. Now, why do I start you off with this solemn start to these World War II monuments and things like this in D.C.? Our capital, our country, is at a unique spot even right now. We are in a war. And I think it's important for us, as important for us as we step through this to remember to be praying for our leaders, praying for those people that are in positions, and praying ultimately for our country. So I'm going to do two things before we start. Number one, I'm going to pray for us. The second thing I'm going to do is I just want us to stand, turn towards the flag, and I want us to say the Pledge of Allegiance. So let me pray. If you would like to stand during prayer, you're more than welcome to. And then when we do our Pledge of Allegiance. Let's pray. Father, thanks for our day. Thanks for allowing us to come together. Thanks for the ability to be able to elect officials. And God, right now, as we come together at this Meet the Candidate night, God, that we are, God, focused on the sacrifices that went before us. This country was laid down on principles. The God fingerprints were all over the monuments and the Capitol. And God, I just pray that we think through all of those things. And God, we lift up all those prayer requests. We lift up all of our leaders in country positions, the things that are happening overseas. God, you know exactly what's going on, and we lift them all up. Those brave men and women who are in harm's way, God, we just ask for protection and for your will. God, we love you and we praise you. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may have a seat. Thank you so much. As Miss Tiffany, our executive director, mentioned, my name is Jason Eads. I've been a part of the chamber for a while. This is not my first rodeo. We have done this several times, and some of you have sit in that seat several times, or maybe even been a part of this podium. So what I'd like for us to do is go through a couple things. I'm going to tell you about the night, and then we're going to jump right in. First thing I want to tell you is Old Main. People at Old Main, I guess, told me to tell you that in the case of emergency, there are 3 different types of exits. There is one to our right here in the front, one to our left in the front, and right down the middle. Did I look like a flight attendant? I hope so. Restrooms are also downstairs. So if you go out the back, you can go to the right or to the left. Once you go downstairs, you will see men and women restrooms. There's also a snack room back there, which I highly recommend. They didn't have brownies, but they do have chocolate chip cookies. I think I saw oatmeal, snickerdoodles, anything maybe you want. Don't even care if you go get a cookie at any time. Okay, we do ask that you just don't disrupt what is going on here at the front. So you're more than welcome to do so. I think tonight is super important for all West Virginians. It is important for them to stay informed so that they can make wise decisions. I was telling somebody today about our event, and they said, Jason, just tell me who to vote for. I have no idea who to vote for. I was like, well, how about you watch our Meet the Candidates and make your own decision, right? I think that's important, and I think it's all important for us. All right, to those of you in the audience, if you would like to ask a question to any of our candidates, please write your question legibly and give it to our runners. All right, now if I have all of our runners, just raise your hand. Looks like Caleb's up here. Okay, got some in the back, Miss Rita. So if you have one of those postcards, just write your question, make sure we can read it. If you will hold it up, our runners will come and get it. For you online folks, all you have to do is type your question in the comments section, and we will take it from there. If you're unable to get your question answered during the event, if you write one down and maybe we don't get to it, or maybe it gets put to the bottom of the pile, you're more than welcome to ask that question to the candidates afterwards in the informal meet and greet. So they're going to hang out a little bit afterwards and maybe even intermission. So if you write one of those questions down, we don't get a chance to ask it. Hey, you know what? Go ask it yourself. Go meet that candidate, shake their hand, and then maybe say, hey, let me ask you a question. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so allow me to go over the rules for tonight's event. These rules are going to help us to be fair and keep everyone participating, okay? I've already talked about those snacks and drinks. They're in the back into that room. Please place your cell phones on silent. Too many times we have cell phones going off, especially in maybe an answer that it needs to be given. We will start with introductions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement. So we'll go through each of them. They'll have 2 minutes for their opening statement. Then we will move to questions. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer questions that are directed towards them. So the runners and the people that are vetting the questions down here to my left, they're going to be bringing me questions throughout the evening, and then I will be able to ask them to whomever that is sitting in our black chairs up front. If a rebuttal is needed, each candidate will have a minute to respond. And again, that'll be, if that happens, lots of times that doesn't, but if it is, we always have to put it out there. Then we will have a closing statement from each candidate, which will also be 2 minutes. During the course of our event, I would encourage each of those candidates to stay civil. And you know exactly what I mean, right? We are not up here trying to do anything other than give information out. So I do encourage each of us to stay as civil as possible. Okay, I would also like to introduce you to the person who is the most important of our event tonight, Miss Amy LaRose, the timekeeper. Now, here's the reason she's the most important. She is the most important because she's got 2 cards in her hands. If you have a 2-minute opening statement, 15 minutes before your statement is up, she is going to hold up a yellow card. Miss Amy, if you'll show us that yellow card, that would be fantastic. Right there you go. At the end of your time, she has another card, and it is red. If you notice these cards, these are from volleyball. And some of you have never seen those cards. Some of you have seen a lot of those cards. But the reality is the yellow one gives you 15 seconds warning. The red one is 0. Now, if you keep going and you decide that you needed to answer something and it's going to be a few more minutes, we're probably going to stop you. So make sure you kind of adhere to Miss Amy. All right. Introductions will begin with each candidate. As I call them up, you'll sit down closest to me and then all the way away from me. So I will start with those candidates closest to me and work our way that way for opening statements. And then for closing statements, I will go in reverse order. That way, everybody gets a hand, and I think that's the fairest way that is possible. So there's two different, we've got, well, not two different sections, excuse me. There's several sections. But the first section that we have, these two sections are going to be statements only. And you go, wait a minute, Jason, you just told me that we're going to have some questions, and I've got some good questions for them. Well, fact of the matter is, these two offices, they cannot comment on things, a lot of things. So they have to keep a lot of things close to their chest, and they're, bound by law not to comment on some of them. So you could certainly ask them questions, but I have a feeling you're going to get a whole lot of, I cannot comment on that. So be careful in those things. So our first two, which is going to be the Justice of Supreme Court of Appeals and our Intermediate Court of Appeals, those folks are just going to give you a statement. So what we have done is combine those statements together, the opening and closing. They're going to get 4 minutes each just to give their statement, okay? All right, so those candidates. First, Justice of Supreme Court of Appeals, if they will come to the front and have a seat. First one is Mr. Tom Ewing. Second one is Mr. Bill Flanagan. Third one is Mr. Gerald Titus. The next one is Intermediate Court of Appeals, and that is Mr. Don Greer. Don Greer, I completely forgot till I saw his wife stand up, Miss Amy, but Miss Amy is going to give the statement for Mr. Don. So if you'll have a seat in the way that I called, excellent. All right, so our first one up, Justice for Supreme Court of Appeals, Tom Ewing.
All right, well, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Tom Ewing. I am presently a justice on the Supreme Court. And before that, I was a circuit judge in Fayette County, or just right across the Meadow River. I grew up in Hyco, and so I had family here in Nicholas County. My great-grandmother my great-grandmother lived on Ramsey Road. So, you know, I'm a son of Southern West Virginia. I'm a son of a small town. And so it's great to be in an area where people I can relate to. Because, to be honest with you, I'm running a statewide election for a job that I was appointed to. I love the job, but I'm not a politician. I'm the kind of guy that loves the work. I love research. I love writing. I'm fine with making tough decisions. That's what I like to do. But this is what I have to do in order to keep it. I've got to go to events like this and be able to convince folks that they should vote for me. And so I'll start by saying that family is important to me, faith is important to me, and the values that my parents instilled to me, I take with me every day to my job, and how I treat people, how I interact with people, and how I do my job. So, as Jason said, judges, we can't tell you this is how we believe, this is our policy. We can only talk about our philosophy, judicial philosophy. And I will say that I have what would be considered a conservative judicial philosophy. My goal, first of all, is get to the right answer. Second of all, I took an oath as a judge and a justice to uphold the rule of law. That's my first and foremost obligation. The Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of West Virginia. Second of all, I have an obligation and duty to uphold the integrity and the independence of the judiciary. And that is critically important, because all the other rights that each of us share or hold dear as Americans under our Constitution are held together by judicial independence, by judges willing to make the hard decisions based on the rule of law and the facts of the case, and not based on political opinions, not based on public sentiment or public pressure. And I will say that that's a question that's asked. You know, I was appointed. I understand that. But I didn't take an oath to any man. I didn't take an oath to any party. I took an oath to the Constitution. And I do that every day. And I've proven that as a judge at the circuit court level. And I think during my time as a justice on the court, I've proven that as well. So, now, just a little bit of personal bio. I don't know how much time I have left. But I'm a justice for my job. But the most important thing I do is I'm a dad. I'm a father. Now I'm a grandfather. I got 2 twin grandbabies. They're getting ready to turn a year old. So I wear a robe every day, but the robe does not define who I am. I'm a coach, you know, as I said, a dad, a father, grandfather, those things, husband. And I think it's just important to understand that when I make decisions, I understand that they affect everyone in this room. And when I make the decision, I'm trying to make that decision to get the right answer and get the answer that's mandated by the oath that I've sworn to uphold. So I ask that when you go to the polls on May 12th or your early vote, that you give me your vote, and I can continue to serve the state of West Virginia as a justice of the Supreme Court. Thank you.
Next, same Justice of Supreme Court of Appeals, Bill Flanagan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. What a wonderful evening. Congratulations on the grandkids, Tom. I think that's amazing. I'd love to have a few of those someday myself. I've got 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son, and they do mean the world to you. My wife's pretty special, too. So if I don't put that in her, she'll probably throw me out. So I'm currently a delegate out of Ohio County. I've represented Montague County. From Harrison County, West Virginia. So I've been around the top part of the state a good bit. Lived in Beckley for about 9 months, so I didn't last down south too long. I enjoy it down here, though, except driving through Summersville. If you guys could change the speed limit just a little bit, it'd be a little better. So kind of like what Tom was just saying, I'm not really much of a politician, never really wanted to be one. Matter of fact, I really didn't intend to even go to college. I grew up on a farm. Most important thing was catching square bills, making sure you get them stacked right. Went from that, did some construction work with my father, put myself through college. I got lucky enough to go because I had a great teacher named Fern Nutter. Mrs. Nutter got me into Upward Bound. She said, give it a try. I think you'll do all right. Turned out she was correct. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed school quite a bit. Went to Salem Teikyo University, picked up a degree in Japanese. I could speak and write Japanese pretty well. Used to be able to read it a lot better than I can now. You lose that stuff if you don't stick with it. The Japanese market, it crashed in 97, 98. Translation jobs kind of dried up with it. And I had to go back to construction work. That's what I did for the next 3 or 4 years. My father and I started a construction business together. And it was going well. We were building homes, and it was a good job. A head-on car collision changed my life yet again. They told me I'd never pick a gallon of milk up. And my wife said, you're not sitting at home on disability. Go back to school and use your brain. And decided I'd go teach Japanese in West Virginia. And they wanted another 4-year degree. They said, no, you have to go back and get an education degree now. I said, at that point, I'd had a master's degree in Japanese. I said, well, I can teach in college. I said, nope, got to get one. Law school was only 3 years, so I chose the easier path and went to law school. And it worked out well. I fell in love with the law, fell in love with the Constitution. It's been something that's been ingrained with me ever since I learned how it functions, how it operates, what it does for us as citizens, and how it protects each one of our rights for all of us. I have faithfully served that oath that Thomas just mentioned. As a lawyer, I've been doing that for over 25 years. I have litigated in front of multiple courts. And one of the things I want to bring to the Supreme Court, I think is important, especially for businesses, is consistency. And when you go in front of a lot of different courts, you can have the same arguments and come in front of a different judge and find a completely different answer. And we have precedents, we have laws set in place that should keep us inside of a certain order, and it's not happening all the time. I believe that's something I would be able to apply when I get into the justice seat. I am running against Tom. He's a good friend of mine, by the way. I like him. I told somebody this the other day. I'll say it again right now. West Virginia is going to be well served no matter who comes out of Division II. I can promise you that much. We're both, I think, great people. Where was that? Oh, the Constitution. Yeah. So I've been down in Charleston twice now, and the second time I went down was just this last session. And we do a lot of bills that you guys see get to come through here. And one of the things I was very proud of is that if the bills weren't constitutional, and I had already put an amendment in on it, and the amendment was rejected, I wouldn't vote for it. That's not how I want to do it. We can do things the correct way, we can do things the proper way, and we need to do that in West Virginia. From legislative side, the legislative branch, to the executive branch, and our judicial branch. And I believe that's something I can provide for the citizens of West Virginia. I'm working hard to get there. I got 6 counties left. I made a goal to make sure I visited all 55 counties. It's my 3rd stop in Nicholas County. I want to make sure, we have a very diverse state. Oh, sorry, ma'am, I didn't realize I had a red card, wasn't looking. Apologize. Thank you guys very much.
Gerald Titus.
Thank you very much. I am West Virginia Supreme Court Justice Gerald Titus. First thing I want to tell you is I'm not running against these 2 gentlemen, and I'm not running against Miss Greer's husband. He's an intermediate court judge. They're in Division II. I'm running over here in Division I. I have 4 opponents in Division I. There's 5 of us total. It's great to be here in Nicholas County tonight. I'm a proud 1996 graduate of Roane County High School. I always thought of Nicholas County High School as the fancy high school because you had a golf course. And we didn't have anything like that in Spencer. Since taking office last year, I have helped decide 150 cases, written in part 120 decisions. We're writing more decisions every day. I'm working on some of them in the car up here. As a Supreme Court Justice, I sit on the bench with the other 5 justices. We hear arguments, we go back, we deliberate cases. What we decide becomes the law of the land, and so it's an important position. We also have an administrative function. We have 1,600 employees in all 55 counties. We can dance too. I've spent my career outside the political arena. I had not met the governor prior to the appointment process. Just being an outsider, I wasn't even really sure, should I apply? How do you get selected for this? I don't know. I've got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and I don't know if you ever asked your 8-year-old for advice, but I did. And I said, Brant, what should I do? And told him the situation, and he said, Dad, risk the biscuit. And I wasn't sure what that meant, but I took it as go for it. So I did. I went for it, and here we are. I'm thankful he said that to me. I'd probably done it anyway. But so why do I want to continue to serve as a Supreme Court Justice? At 48 years old, 22 years of legal practice, married, father of 3, successful legal practice, partner in one of the largest law firms in the state, founded in 1864. I was in the absolute prime of my legal career. I feel like I still am. I know I still am. And I got tired of talking about how we're going to make our state better for our kids, for your kids, for our grandkids someday, and just wanted to put that experience to work and felt like I couldn't make it wait any longer to do that. I'm in the perfect sweet spot to continue to do this job. I have enough experience to be qualified, well qualified to serve, but I've got a lot left in the tank as well. At 48 years old, I believe I can do this job for a long time and continue to do it with distinction. I'm already doing the job. It suits me. I have never felt as if I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do professionally until right now. My judicial philosophy, conservative philosophy, apply the laws as written, faithfully adhere to the Constitution, stay in your own constitutional lane as a judiciary. It's very simple. No politics. We don't decide cases based on politics, who you are, where you're from, who you know. We decide it based on the law. It's very simple. And I feel it's a very important, the judiciary has a limited function, but a crucial and important function. I want to tell you that I am endorsed by the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the West Virginia Business and Industry Council, the Manufacturers Association, GOWV, which is the new name for the Oil and Gas Association, the West Virginia Healthcare Association's Political Action Committee, the West Virginia Medical Association's Political Action Committee, the West Virginia Fraternal Order of Police, the West Virginia Sheriff's Association, and West Virginia Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. I'm honored to have those endorsements. Something that it means a lot, but it also means a lot when somebody, and you other candidates know this, when someone looks you in the eye and says, "You got my vote." And so that means a tremendous amount to me, and so it's hard to ask for help. You all know that too. And so, but I am here to ask for your vote tonight. I am Justice Gerald Titus. I humbly ask for your vote so that I may continue to serve the state of West Virginia. Thank you very much.
Okay, so our first three candidates were Justice of Supreme Court of Appeals. Next is Intermediate Court of Appeals. And please accept my apology. It is Dan Greer. This statement is made by his wife, Miss Amy Greer.
Thank you, Jason. Full disclosure, my watch keeps telling me that my heart rate is too high. So if something, I hope there's a doctor in the room in case something happens. But it's a privilege to be here with you all tonight. What a great event. It's so neat to look out and see all the faces of people who care about our democracy and want to educate themselves about the candidates. What a privilege we have as Americans to be able to vote for our leaders. So again, as Jason mentioned, my name is Amy Greer, and I'm here on behalf of my husband, Dan Greer, who's currently a judge on the Intermediate Court of Appeals. I am a hospice social worker, and I used to cover Nicholas, Clay, and Fayette counties. So I've been in all the nooks and crannies of Nicholas County, up the hollows, and so I love Nicholas County. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I remember sitting on a porch, looking out, and you just feel like you were on top of the world. It was just beautiful. So I'm glad to be back. We have been married for 34 years. Dan actually he kind of keeps the fun in our marriage, and I will say this, he's a little goofy sometimes too. So, but I've always been impressed with his ability to take a very complex situation, a complex situation, and just boil it down into what really matters. So he uses common sense approaches to solve problems, and even before we were married, that impressed me with him. So he's also very hardworking, and he's very disciplined. We have 2 boys. Our oldest is a captain in the Marines. He's in Camp Pendleton. He's an infantry officer down there. And our youngest is in law school. He'll be graduating in May and also be married in May. So May will be a very busy month for us. So Dan also has 26 years as a high school football official, and he is a pickleball enthusiast. So someday he may play against Dwayne, I don't know. But anyway, he has 20 years as a private litigator trying cases all throughout West Virginia. He served the state of West Virginia in all 3 branches of government. He was a delegate from Kanawha County. He was chief counsel for Attorney General, chief counsel for the House of Delegates, and he was also a circuit judge. But in 2022, the legislature created the new Intermediate Court of Appeals, and Dan was one of 3 judges appointed for that position, or in that position. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Intermediate Court, it was designed to help the Supreme Court and to speed the docket along, which is what they have done. They've actually shortened the deciding of cases almost a whole year faster than if it went through the regular chain through the Supreme Court. So they have decided over 1,800 cases since its inception. They have a 99% success rate, meaning that only 1% of the decisions that they have made have been overturned at the Supreme Court. So all of the decisions that are made can still be appealed to the Supreme Court, and they've only had 1% overturned by the Supreme Court, and he's very proud of that. They put a lot of effort and time into making sure that their decisions are fair and equitable. They also have been able to improve the family court. Prior to the Intermediate Court of Appeals, all the family court decisions were appealed to circuit judges. We have 75 circuit judges throughout the state, so you can imagine that there was inconsistency in some of the opinions. So now all the opinions actually can be, everyone can see the opinions that are written. And it's brought accountability, transparency, and predictability to the family court. Dan's judicial philosophy is judges should decide cases based on the law and Constitution as drafted, not based on their own opinions and experiences. And I think because of his proven experience and fairness, Dan has been endorsed by organizations on both sides of the political aisle. He has the endorsement of the West Virginia Association for Justices, which is the trial lawyers, the trial lawyers. He has the business community. He's been endorsed by the Chamber, by the West Virginia Business and Industrial Council, and the West Virginia Manufacturers Association. He's also been endorsed by the Farm Bureau and by law enforcement, including the Sheriff's Association, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, and the State Federation of Police. So I feel like I know Dan is uniquely qualified to continue to serve on the Intermediate Court of Appeals, and I'm asking you to vote on May 12th to keep my husband, Judge Dan Greer, on the Intermediate Court of Appeals. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you to the Justice of Supreme Court of Appeals and Intermediate Court of Appeals. Hand of applause one more time. All right, now welcome to the stage. This is Nicholas County Commission. Sarah Brown, Craig Chapman, Richard Mucklow. Now, as our Nicholas County Commissioner coming forward, now we start to change. So that group was our statements. Now becomes the opening, the questions, and the closing. So just to remind you, each candidate will have an opening statement of 2 minutes. They will have 1 minute for each question that is asked to them, and then a closing statement of 2 minutes. Okay, so let's go right along to our opening statement. Nicholas County Commission, Sarah Brown.
I think the best advice I got from my father was keep it short and sweet. So I am Sarah Brown, and I am seeking the Democratic nomination for the Nicholas County Commissioner for the Birch District. My roots run deep in Nicholas County. I'm a daughter of David and Shirley Meadows at Canvas. I never left here. Sisters left, family left, came back when they saw the error of their ways. I never did leave. I am married to Wes Brown for over 20 years, and we have 3 children. Our oldest is set to graduate next month from WVU. Our middle child, which hopefully it tears at my heart, she's our daughter, and she is wrapping up her first semester at Middle Tennessee State University. Very proud of them both. And our youngest child, David, he is a freshman at Nicholas County High School and is definitely an interesting, fun child. So like many of you, most of our family all lives in Nicholas County. They work here, they live here, they thrive here. So I, like you, I see all the challenges that the people of the county face. I have 30 years experience in the legal services, with 25 of that being a magistrate in the magistrate court system. I worked daily with many elected officials and courthouse employees. Also would love to use the knowledge that I gained through all those years to facilitate a more trustworthy, transparent, and economically sound county. As a public servant, I want to be a positive influence, which will come from open lines of communications with the citizens. And I ask you to just please remember too that, especially when you're talking with the county commissioners, it's not just one person making decisions. You have to have all 3 working together to bring it together for the county, to make the county a better place. So based on my previous career as a magistrate, I do have many ideas to help address some of the issues that the county faces. And I look forward to seeing a lot of the changes that could come, especially with the current direction of the county commission. Further, having an opportunity to implement the changes that will make the various departments under the umbrella of the County Commission work more efficiently and cooperate better with each other, and basically for the citizens of the county. But right now, all I can mainly promise is that I'll listen. So I appreciate it, and thank you so much. And Miss Amy, you need a buzzer. Thank you.
Craig Chapman.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Chapman. I am presently the president of the Nicholas County Commission. I am seeking re-election on the Republican Party. I don't know what to say other than we have a very good commission. We have a very good county. We have commissioners that work together. We don't fight, we don't argue, we work for the people. We have given the largest raises to our deputies, would you say, Johnny, in the history of the department. We work with all departments. We get along with all departments. We get along with all the state agencies. We get along with the legislature. We spend a lot of time in Charleston. Gary spends a lot of time all over the world, but representing Nicholas County. But we're a good commission. We're a strong commission. We're a good commission. We're a helpful commission. We're here to help in every way. We balance the budget every year. Our budget has increased this year by a little over $1 million. And that's just because of the economic drivers that we put in place. There's a lot to do in this job. Everybody thinks this is an easy job. This is a very hard job. And if you don't know how to run an $8.2 million budget and get along with everybody that you have to, you don't have any business being in this job. And this county is a great county. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to work. I was born and raised here. I was born and raised in Craigsville, West Virginia. My parents are Sonia and Raymond Chapman. I've been in business here for 30 plus years. So I just ask that come November, I have your vote. Thank you.
Richard Mucklow.
Good evening. As he said, I'm Richard Mucklow. A little bit about me. My background is in political science and public administration. I completed my master's last spring. And during my study, there were two sayings that really resonated with me. And the first was, society grows great when men plant trees whose shade they know they'll never see. And the second was, you can never stand in the same river twice. And what that means is simple. Change is a constant part of life. And looking at the budgets for the last 5 years, the one trend I've noticed is that we are keeping the lights on. Credit where credit is due. Public service is a difficult job. But if I have one criticism, it's that what are we doing to address for the future? And for example, I think that we should be working more closely with our technical college and having more of a direct pathway to employment opportunities in the community. Looking at Nicholas County and the demography, 25% of the population is 65 or older. And with the homestead exemption, nobody likes talking about taxes, but taxes are what make the county operate and run. And so what I want to do, not to raise taxes, but I want to work on finding ways to categorize the property to make sure that we're getting every dollar possible. And ultimately, it's not just me that you're getting, it's my teachers as well and the experience that they've passed on to me. For example, the teacher that taught me about budgeting was Dave Hardy, who's in the West Virginia State Supreme Court and worked on the budget for 15 years of Charleston and the state. Thank you for your time.
Okay, and now we move along to some questions. So this question is for all candidates, and I'm going to go in reverse of their opening statement. So Richard, you would be first in responding to this question. The question I have entered the card is, how would you vote on term limits for all elected or appointed government officials? Richard, you can come to the podium, Richard.
Well, I think ultimately you have to consider what the role of the official is and what the term limit is. Having studied other forms of governance, you know, some countries have 6-year terms, some have 4. And we do that to keep things fresh and have a constant stream of new ideas. But one of the trade-offs of that is that it's very difficult to have long-term planning. So again, I think you have to consider what the actual role of the office is and how much impact it has on decision-making.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Craig, as he's walking up, how would you vote on term limits for all elected or appointed government officials?
I would probably say, just thank God I don't have to make that decision. That is a hard question, and that's a very hard question because in West Virginia, we had people that served a long time that got us a lot of stuff. Bob Berg, for instance, he was a senator for a long time, built a lot of bridges in West Virginia. You know, there's things like that you have to take in consideration. But I really don't have an answer for that question completely because it's not something you could answer on the fly. But in certain cases and certain things, I think, like the sheriff, for instance, sheriff's 8 years. I don't think they're effective in 8 years. I think they ought to have 12 or 15 years. Your governor sometimes should probably have more. But for me, it's not anything I would take lightly to vote on, so I would have to have plenty of time to decide.
And Sarah.
Thank you. I think with everything in life, there are so many variants to it. Obviously, the county commission wouldn't have any say on that whatsoever because it would be handled in Charleston. However, you're also talking to someone that believes that there should be limits when people hold certain jobs, and they should be reviewed and looked at to see how productive they're being. When it comes as far as even just a coach's job in the school system to how's that teacher, I mean, and then you come and talk about politics. We probably couldn't even hardly beg anyone to run 2 years ago for certain positions. So I think that it just, a lot smarter people than me or probably anyone in this building at this time has looked at this and tried to see, but where it's an ever-changing, evolving system, it would be very difficult to make a lot of big changes to those, but it would be very interesting to see how it would come forth. Thank you.
Miss Sarah, don't leave that podium. Stay right there. So you are, next question directed towards Miss Sarah.
Ooh.
So you were once magistrate,
I was,
decided to not be magistrate.
yes.
What makes you want to run for public office again?
Oh, my goodness. So I get a minute, 60 seconds. Okay, I could write a book, but in a nutshell, basically, yes, the magistrate's office was very, very challenging to some extent. It was very rewarding, very difficult, very interesting. I feel like I made a change there to a lot of degree. However, when my oldest son came to me just in the past year or so, and I said, okay, so you're getting ready to graduate. Where are you going? I'm so excited. What are we doing? He said, I'm coming home. No, you don't want to come home. I mean, it's been a wonderful place for me and my family, but there's a big world out there. And then when I look back and I see our daughter Sam, she didn't even buck an eye. She was ready to roll. She was ready to go and see the world. But to know that it doesn't stop with Wes and I. It's going to continue on with our family, and I just want to do the best that I can to make it the best place that I can. So thank you.
All right, the next question is for all candidates as well, and we are actually going to start with Mr. Craig this time. The question is, what is your opinion on data centers?
When we first heard about data centers probably 2 years ago, we were on board. And we were on board because of the tax revenue, and it was huge. The more we've studied it, the more we've looked into it, we've backed off a lot. It's too new of a thing. Is it going to be a thing in this world we live in today? Absolutely. You're going to see data centers. This world, the way we're set up with that is, you have no choice. But I think for West Virginia, we probably need to step back and wait a little while and see what kind of environmental issues it's going to cause, see what kind of other things it's going to cause, because it is going to eat so much electricity. The electricity drain that we use today will probably be at least triple with a data center. So it is something we're studying it. We're in groups, we're in meetings about it already, but we are holding back.
Thank you. Same question is for Richard. What is your opinion on data centers?
Well, I've currently been reading the 2024 Department of Energy report on data centers, and honestly, the conclusions in the report are that they can tell that there is going to be an increase in demand for the energy use of data centers, but they don't fully realize the magnitude of how much it's going to affect the environment. Right now, they've done a bottom-up study that looks at the components of each individual aspect of the data center, and then they've added up the wattage totals together to get an average rate. But it doesn't account for what climate the data center is put into or what components are actually utilized. So I think that the federal government itself is admitting that there needs to be more study on them.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sarah, your opinion on data centers?
Thank you. Obviously, we're in a world of ever-changing. However, West Virginia is a unique place. The majority of our income, and the wonderful thing about West Virginia and that draws people here, is our beauty. And my husband and I recently took a long trip, and there are not many states like us. I mean, it was a very long, very 6,000-mile trip. So when you start speaking of data centers, I don't think that we can look at it as though we're any normal state. It's going to double whammy, triple whammy us, because it not only takes away from our property, it takes away from our beautification, it takes away from the fact that we're trying to bring people here because we are beautiful. So yes, I wouldn't be able to give a completely wonderful, definite no, but pretty sure it would be pretty darn close to it. So thank you.
All right, Ms. Sarah, if you'll stay right there. This question is for all of the candidates. This will be the last question, and then we'll move into our closing statements. But to all county commissioners, what will you do to promote transparency? Would you be willing to implement improved methods of communication with the residents of the county?
Thank you. I will say that whenever I first started looking into running for county commissioner, and I would go through and try to find what I could on the internet, I mean, it was very, definitely our site for the county needs to be brought up to speed. It was wonderful to see that the city of Summersville actually places the county commission meetings online. If you have the time to sit there for hours and hours and hours and watch them. I think it would be nice if they would give a summary of, along with it, and make it just more accessible, especially because the internet is where people's going to find their information. I mean, it's still nice to have a chronicle in the paper in your hand or a book, but we also know that that's just really where it's going to be at. So I do think that that needs to be utilized a little bit better. And open door policy, anytime, come talk to us. Your idea might not work, but it's not going to hurt to hear or hurt to even try to entertain it. So open doors, please. Thank you.
That same question to Mr. Craig. What will you do to promote transparency? And would you be willing to implement improved methods of communication to the residents of the county?
Yes, we do it now. We have every meeting, like she said, it's recorded by SCTV. We record it ourselves as well. You're welcome to come anytime and sit in our meetings. So we are transparent, and you can ask us anything, anytime, anywhere, and all three of us will give you the same answer. Anytime, anyway, anywhere. We don't hide anything. The one thing we have talked about is we have to make our decisions in the courthouse. It is by code. We have to have that meeting in the courthouse for that. But we can have town hall meetings. We can get out there. We have done that on certain decisions. We went into Richwood on things. We went into other towns and talked about certain things that come up. So absolutely, we're transparent. Could we be more? If there's a way, we'll do it. But yes, we will be transparent.
And Richard, what will you do to promote transparency, and would you be willing to implement improved methods of communication to the residents of the county?
Well, one improvement I think would be ideal is perhaps considering having the meetings during the evening so that the majority of the population could interact. Right now, where the meetings are scheduled, it's during the middle of the day and many people are at work. And while it is true that the meetings are recorded and people can go back and view them at their leisure, I think a lot of people agree that direct one-on-one access and being there in person.
All right, thank you. Now, don't leave that podium. Now we move into our closing statements, and we're going to go in reverse order. So, closing statements, Mr. Richard Mucklow.
In conclusion, if you're currently happy with your county government, then by all means, I recommend you vote for who you feel is best for the job. But the one thing I heard consistently when I was out on St. Patrick's Day talking to people is that they're not currently happy with the composition of the commission. And so, to me, the choice seems obvious. If you want direct, immediate change, then vote for that change and let's build that future together. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Craig Chapman.
Again, my name is Craig Chapman, Republican candidate for the Nicholas County Commission. I am presently the president of the Nicholas County Commission. I am a good commissioner, and I do hear good things about us, all three of us. So I ask that you keep a good commission, a knowledgeable commission, an experienced commission in your government. Thank you.
And Miss Sarah Brown.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all so much for putting this on this evening, and really a heartfelt thank you for all those that are here, all those that are watching. Taking the interest, even what's going on, it's so easy to just, it's not my problem. I don't want to think about it. I don't need to think about it. But mostly I want to thank all the candidates on both sides. An experience of knowing how many years I've done this over the years, you're not only putting yourself there, but you're putting your family there. And it's a very, very, very brave act. So if we could just give an applause to all the candidates here. I'm very thankful for all of you. So thank you.
All right, and thank you for our Nicholas County Commissioners. Thank you. People running for that office. Excellent. We're going to move right along to our House of Delegates. Now, there are several districts and several names. So I'm going to call your name. I want you to come up in that order, kind of sit in that order if you can. From District 1, Britt Aguirre. Hopefully I said that right. District 48, Jordan Dietz. Mackenzie Holdren. District 49, Stanley Adkins, Newt McCutcheon, Byron Tucker, Jr. Britt Aguirre is first. She's running for Congress. Ah. Okay. Well, Miss Britt, I tell you what, you're off the hook for a second. There we go. So we'll start with Jordan Dietz, Mackenzie Holdren, Stanley Adkins, Newt McCutcheon, and Byron Tucker, Jr. All right, you guys may be seated. Thank you. We will move right into our opening statement, which will be 2 minutes. All right, so here we go. From District 48 for House of Delegates, Jordan Dietz.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Jordan Dietz. I'm running for the 48th District for the House of Delegates. That consists of Webster County, a portion of Nicholas County, which is Craigsville, Richwood, Levacy, Nettie, and then a portion of Western Greenbrier County, Quinwood, and Orient Hill. I'm from Richwood, went to Richwood High School, graduated from Shepherd University. After college, I joined the United States Coast Guard, where I served for 9 years. After my active duty service, I moved home to Richwood, where I continued to serve, and I was elected to City Council. While on City Council, I've developed an unhealthy obsession with public infrastructure and works. It's really fascinating to me. And I've also understood the responsibility of taxpayer dollars and using them for the benefit and the betterment of the community, which is also done in the House of Delegates. I'm a huge advocate for public education. My dad taught for 42 years. I come from a very long line of public educators. And let me be very clear, I am not against private schools or homeschooling, but we need to add funding to our public education. We need to pay our teachers better. Thank you. A 3% pay increase for teachers doesn't even touch PEIA rate increases, so we need to fix that. And we also need to put guardrails on the Hope Scholarship. Thank you. Since 1970, we've seen a steady decline in population, and I can attribute that to the job market. So friends, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to get more jobs to the state? How are we going to pay our teachers significantly better? How are we going to fund public education, and how are we going to fix our crippling infrastructure? Stay tuned for my closing statement.
Mackenzie Holdren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mackenzie Holdren, and I am the Republican candidate for the House of Delegates, District 48. I'm looking out into the audience, and I recognize almost all of you. Of course, I was born and raised here in Nicholas County. Most of you probably know my parents, Bobby and Kara Holdren. Of course, my father worked at the Nicholas County Sheriff's Department until he retired from that in 2024. My mom is a nurse practitioner at Camden Family Health here in Summersville. I graduated from Richwood High School in 2015, after which time I went to WVU. I was having a lot of fun at WVU, making a lot of friends, graduated with a political science degree, and I wasn't really ready to come home yet. But if you know my parents, I also wasn't just going to sit around and have a good time. So I applied to law school, I got in, and I graduated in 2022. So after I passed the bar exam, I was working here in town with PK Milam, rest in peace. PK was a great guy. He gave me a lot of opportunities. He taught me a lot of things. And in 2023, I actually opened up my own firm, the McKinsey Holdren Law Firm. Now, some of you might laugh about me naming it after myself, but of course, I am not married. I was not married when I opened it, and it wasn't my dad's firm. So I was not going to call it the Holdren Law Firm. I love being a lawyer. I love the work that I do. I think that I do important work. Around, I want to say March 2023, I actually got a phone call from Judge Alsop's office. And if you don't know, Judge Alsop used to be the circuit judge over in Webster, Braxton, Clay, and Gilmer counties. And he needed an attorney to come over and handle some abuse and neglect cases. I said yes. I was young. I really didn't have a whole lot of experience at that time. And within 4 months, I started enjoying it so much that I pretty much exclusively started doing that. I have represented hundreds of children in abuse and neglect cases, and I've represented, last time I checked, 55 children in cases before the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. That's actually what I did this afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Stanley Adkins.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm your delegate from the 49th, and I was born and raised right here in Nicholas County. I went to high school right here. My mother graduated right here on this stage in 1944. So I spent a lot of time in this auditorium, mostly in study hall, because when you misbehave, they put you in here. When you're a delegate, you're one of 135 folks. There's 100 delegates. There's 34 senators, and there's the governor. Nobody's going to change the world on their own. You have to be part of a team. Luckily, here in Nicholas County, we have good teams. I'm a big supporter of Johnny Evans, as he knows. I think our county commission does a great job. We as Nicholas Countyans have real good luck with who we elect. Voters usually get it right. You can't go wrong with Newt. He's been my friend for many, many years. He's a good man. The one thing that you have in the legislature is time. Time in grade, time in service. The longer you're there, the more that you can do. My efforts when I first was there is, listen, I need to inform Nicholas County what's going on. I need to write in the paper. I just need to tell them what's going on without being an advocate. I'm not going to say, hey, this is what I support, because I want people to get back to me. And so I did that. I read every week, and I just tell them what's going on in the legislature. The legislature, the longer you're there, the more chance you have to do something for your community. The one thing that I was able to get accomplished in my 2 terms down there, 2 sessions down there, was we got money for New Life for their water system. The governor was a big advocate of that. Could I have done it on my own? Probably not. I see the governor all the time. He always says the same 2 words to me. He looks at me and he says, "What's your name again?" Not true, but funny. But I enjoyed representing you. I hope to get to do it again, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you very much.
Newt McCutcheon.
Thanks for having me tonight. My name's Newt McCutcheon. I'm new to politics. I will tell you this, I love my state, I love my country, and I'm a proud United States Army veteran. All right? I'll tell you the way it is. I graduated here in 1986, went to Fairmont State College with some of you, I think Wes Brown. Went to Fairmont, played football for 2 years, enlisted in the West Virginia Army National Guard, put myself through school. Mom, Dad, they didn't do that for me, and I'm glad. Received a commission in the U.S. Army through WVU. I was regular Army infantry. Received that BA in education. There just wasn't any jobs in the education field at that time. You couldn't get in. So I went in the Army. Best decision I ever met. That's where I met my wife, Kathy, of 34 years. She was with me the whole time. Thank you. We've got 2 kids. Jenny, and she's a small business owner in Orlando, Florida. My son DJ, active duty, United States Air Force. He is headed back to the Middle East. I hate that, but it happens. That kills me. I got to tell you, it does. It hurts when you see all the parents that have kids over there. So, you know, I never aspired to be a politician. I've been a VA rep. I didn't aspire to be a VA rep, but I was a pretty good one, wasn't I, Jackie? But I never aspired to be a high school football trainer, and that's currently what I do. And I got to tell you, I told him no 3 times. The 4th time I said, yes, I'll do it. Come to find out, I needed those boys as much as they needed me. And you know what? I think I can do the job. I'm a fast learner. I don't talk like a lot of the other politicians. I don't. I'm direct. I'm to the point. But I'll get my point across. I'm a little rough around the edge sometimes. I understand that. But I think that's what we need now. All right? So with that being said, I would like to also say thank you, Stanley, for those kind words. With that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Byron Tucker, Jr.
I'm Byron Tucker, Jr. I graduated from Nicholas County High School in 1980, spent a couple years here, and graduated up to new school. And I think back on, and a lot of you all probably had the same teachers that I did here, and you think about things, different teachers taught you different things that you still think about today and you still use today. And I try to use that. And as a coal mine inspector, our first priority was the health and safety of the miners. And that's a serious responsibility. Our second responsibility was law enforcement. We had to enforce the laws to make sure the companies were doing what they were supposed to. But we had to be problem solvers as an inspector. If I found a problem and reported it to you, I had to have ideas of how to help you fix it. I couldn't just say, you've got a problem, you need to take care of it. It was my responsibility to help you fix it. And if I didn't know how to fix it, it was my responsibility to know experts, people that we could consult. And that's the way I would look at doing this job. I'm not the expert, but the delegate has to work with the county commission to try to help this county. The delegate needs to work with our federal representatives, try to bring those together. The commissioner's time is limited. They're doing what they can. So the delegate could be a go-between to help maybe bring more into the county. And when you have problems, which everybody has, every county does, break it down to the smallest part of it that you can fix. And that's what I've always been taught, and what I was taught as an inspector. My name again is Byron Tucker, and I appreciate your consideration.
Don't get too comfortable, Byron. Come right on back to that podium. This question is for all candidates that's on the stage. Do you think our taxes should fund students going to schools out of state, homeschooling, or private schooling?
No, I don't. I think we need to have a little more restriction on it. I haven't done enough study on it to really see how the Hope Scholarship is affecting our overall education system. I think it needs some changes. It seems like it has opened up wide open, and those out-of-state students, home schooling students, that's taken a lot of funds from our public education system, and that affects, to me, that affects the overhead cost of the school system. If we've got 1,000 students, we have this many dollars to take care of all the schools in the county, and if we take a quarter of that money away from them, we still have a lot of the same overhead, and we have less money to spend on particular items that we need to take care of.
Mr. Newt, same question to you as he comes forward. Do you think our taxes should fund students going to school out of state, homeschooling, or private schooling?
I think if I'm paying for somebody's education, it ought to stay right here. If that's my money, I earned it, I'm giving it to the government, it should stay right here. I have no problem with them obtaining a different form of funding, or if something can be worked out, that's fine. But I'm gonna tell you, if it's my money, it needs to stay here in West Virginia. All right, that's the way I feel. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. I would hope you would, but anyhow, that's where Newt stands on that one.
Mr. Stanley, same question.
The Hope Scholarship's about 5 or 6 years old. It started out the first budget year, $20 million. Last year, 1 year, $212 million. Budgeted in this year's budget, $300 million. None of that money comes from education funds. It comes from the general fund. That fund's a year and a half. Governor and lots of legislators, state treasurer, big supporter of homeschools. There are no guardrails on homeschools. There's no testing. There's no guardrails on private schools. You don't even have to be a certified teacher to teach there, but it does not come out of education money. But what it does do, it reduces your students in public schools. Last year here in Nicholas County, 170 students. So what happens to your education funding formula? It's cut your money out. There has to be guidelines. If Elon Musk had 5 children, they could get a Hope Scholarship right here in Nicholas County. $5,400. That doesn't go to the parents. It goes to the school, or if you're a homeschool, it goes to the person that's providing. And most of those people are out-of-state people. You sign up on a computer, the guy's giving you homeschooling is in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, or Zanesville, Ohio. And if you live in Belpre, Ohio, or your school's in Belpre, Ohio, and you're from Point Pleasant, you can drive right across there. Yes, I think there ought to be guidelines, and guidelines were proposed down there. Lost 60-40. The homeschool industry, the private school industry are the same folks that killed Braley's bill. Same folks, because they mentioned homeschool. They won't have it. There's about 60 supporters of homeschool down there and private schools, and I think a parent ought to have a choice. You want to homeschool your kid, fine. But what if you live in $1 million house and have a $400,000 income versus a person living in a double wide in my hometown, Worth, West Virginia? You get the same money. There are no guidelines. That's not right, I don't think. But, you can't walk through the legislature and say, well, I'm here to change this. We're not doing homeschool. We're not doing private school. 60-40 down there last year. I don't know what it was in the Senate, but probably very similar. The governor, the treasurer, the Speaker of the House, they're all big fans of private school and homeschool. If you don't believe it, go look at the votes. And so I do think there ought to be guidelines. The chairman of the finance chair, he proposed them. They never even made it out of his committee.
Miss Amy's been holding that red card up for a little bit.
Oh, okay, thank you, Amy, I'm sorry.
We at the Chamber like to offer grace, and a lot of grace was given. Nothing appointed by that, but yeah, that red card was there. All right, Mackenzie, same question. Do you think our taxes should fund students going to school out of state, homeschooling, or private schooling?
No, I don't. I know that may not be the most popular sentiment within the Republican Party, but as a true Republican, I feel that you should do what is best for your children, but everyone else shouldn't be on the hook to pay for it. I went to public school. I got a high-quality education in public school, and the rest of my family did as well. My sister is a third-grade teacher at a rural school in Preston County. One of the issues that is commonly looked at by the people who are big Hope Scholarship supporters is school performance. And I understand that there are children who do better in private school settings and homeschool settings. One argument that I would raise in comparison to that is the fact that public schools have to accept every child that walks through their door. Private schools are not mandated to do that. They can refuse to accept children with special needs, children with exceptionalities. Furthermore, given the size of the abuse and neglect docket in this state and the amount of kids who are displaced in subpar foster homes and hotel rooms, it's no surprise that a lot of kids in public school settings do not perform well. I believe in giving every child the best chance for success in the future, and to do that, we need to ensure that we are funding our public schools adequately.
Ms. Jordan, same question.
Thank you. Absolutely not. No, we need to keep our money funding public education. Actually, the RAND Corporation, and correct me if I'm wrong, did a study from the legislature, and it said we need to continue to fund public education. We need to save public education by giving more money, and special education. We need to add more money to that. And unfortunately, that didn't happen in this session. And more money was allotted, as you just heard, to the Hope Scholarship, $300 million. Why is that happening? Why is our money going out of state? Why does this continue to happen? We can fix this. We truly can, and we should. We need to fund public education. Thank you so much.
All right, this next question is directed towards Mr. Stanley Adkins. As he's coming to the podium, the question that was given by someone is, what are your thoughts on the current situation with the Nicholas County Board of Education?
Before I go on, the governor's lawyer from Summersville was homeschooled. He went to WVU, won a Rhodes Scholarship, came back, graduated #1 in his law class, Sean Whalen, homeschooled. Board of Education, I got nothing. You know, I follow it, but, you know, they're elected to do a job. The state apparently evaluated, they didn't do the job, they took it over. So, you know, I know we've got some quality candidates running for the Board of Education. I have confidence in people like Billy Persinger, and you know, so I think whatever's wrong with the Board of Education, they're going to fix it. Because clearly, what happened was wrong. So that's my opinion. You know, but I'm not on the Board of Education. You know, I have been in the House of Delegates is tough enough. So. You know, I can't run their business. I will say that you got some quality people running, and so I think the problem will be cured. Once the state releases it, I think they'll fix it. I do. I have confidence in them. I'm a product of Nicholas County Schools. I support our teachers. I support our education system. We produced a lot of really fine people, you know, so I've got confidence it's going to be fixed, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay, this question is for Newt McCutcheon. So Newt, as you make your way to the podium, how will you work to be accessible to the people?
First of all, I've got nothing to hide. I never have. You can come to me anytime, any place, about anything. And I'll say what I've got to say in front of God and country. I'm not going to hide anything from you. I never have. I'm not going to start now. You know, something I thought a little bit about that, but, you know, if I go to Charleston, when I come back, I will have a town hall. That's the only way that we can find out what you people want the representative to do for you, all right? But you have to attend, you know? So that being said, I hope that I got that point across, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm a straight shooter.
Okay, the next question is for all candidates, and we'll actually go in the same order that we did our opening statement because we actually went back. So, Ms. Jordan, if you will come to the podium. What would you do as a legislator to break the existing healthcare monopoly that exists in West Virginia?
Well, I believe that would have something to do with funding to break the existing healthcare monopoly. So we would have to access funding to help people afford healthcare. And the best way that I can think to do that is to recreationally legalize cannabis and utilize that funding to help lower costs of healthcare. Yeah, that about covers it. Thank you.
All right, Mackenzie, same question. What would you do as a legislator to break the existing healthcare monopoly that exists in West Virginia?
Thank you. Well, it sounds like you're getting at the certificate of need debate. And I will say that I'm not going to take a formal position at this point because I am someone who will openly stand up and tell people that I want to do more research on something before I take a formal position on it. I think we've created a system where in which a lot of the time people feel uncomfortable saying that they just don't know enough about something and they feel like they are boxed in and have to take a position. I have read a lot of the debate online about the necessity of repealing certificates of need and why some people are against it. I know that a lot of the debate centers around people who argue that certificates of need do create healthcare monopolies and impede access to quality healthcare for people, whereas I know that there are other people who take the position that repealing certificates of need would have a negative impact on the ability for people, particularly in rural areas, to access healthcare. I believe in trusting experts in their field whenever I actually have the data in front of me and I have the opportunity to talk to people who are more educated on that subject. I will take a formal position.
Stanley Adkins, same question.
Well, the CON in Charleston is a hot subject, argued a lot. The people that, for keeping it, say that it keeps these big monopolies from people coming in, and they're not looking for patients, they're looking for insurance carriers. They're not gonna serve Medicaid patients, they're not gonna serve the hard-to-serve patients, they're gonna pick their patients because they got good insurance. And it's more of a border problem than it is a central problem, in that if you're in Ashland or you're in Marietta, or, because they're going to come into those areas. If the CON is causing these monopolies, it should be fixed. Should it be thrown out, or should it be fixed? We have a CON board that is going to say, okay, listen, this is needed, let's have it. This is needed, let's have it. That's not needed, let's don't have it. It's not the law, it's the process. So if the CON system is, listen, we're going to have this board that decides whether that's a needed service. Well, we don't need this at Thomas because we have that at General. We don't need this at Cabell Huntington because Ashland has it. That's the process. But if they came and said, we're going to build you a brand new hospital here in Summersville, and I said, well, WVU's already here. I was on that board for years, and I was, the controller for years, and thank God they did come in because, we're going to lose their hospital. The folks who's arguing to keep it are people like Jackson General, Summersville Memorial, Webster. A lot of those are critical access centers, which means you get billed charges. So is it the CON or is it the process? I'll listen to both sides, but you can't convince me that a medical facility coming in here who will not take Medicaid is going to be effective here in West Virginia, because about 70% have some form of Medicare and Medicaid. Sorry. Thank you.
Newt McCutcheon, same question. I'll go ahead and repeat it one more time. What would you do as a legislator to break the existing healthcare monopoly that exists in West Virginia?
Like a lot of people, I don't know enough to speak intelligently on that issue. But I will tell you, regulation, and regulation. We are overregulated. People do things for their own self-benefit. But believe me, if I get to Charleston, I'll address the issue. You'll know where you stand with me. The way I vote, the way I do things, again, I have nothing to hide. All right, nothing. But I just don't know enough to speak on that issue. I just don't. So thank you.
And Mr. Byron.
don't have a lot of knowledge on the CON system, but I believe in the free enterprise system. I don't think that there should be a group or an agency say, oh, well, we've already got this, so you can't bring in a new, better business model ought to control or affect the way things are done. If we need, the market will show us whether we need another doctor's office in the county. We shouldn't have bureaucrats necessarily telling us. We can have them giving advice, but I don't think they should be completely deciding what Summersville, what Nicholas County needs as far as health care.
All right, last question, and then we're going to move into these closing statements. But these last question is going to be specifically for District 48. That is Mackenzie and Jordan. So Mackenzie, you are first. If you will head to the podium, the question is, what is the most important things facing your district?
That's a complicated question because there are a lot of issues in our district. Of course, as a rural, underprivileged district, there are a lot of things that need to be fixed, but a lot of it, I believe, is actually interconnected. So me being me, and with my professional background, of course, I take the position that child welfare is absolutely the most pressing issue, particularly in Webster County and, of course, eastern Nicholas County and the portion of Greenbrier County that's made up of District 48. We have a whole lot of kids who are growing up in really subpar conditions, a lot of kids on the abuse and neglect docket, a lot of kids who aren't on there that frankly should be. Children are our future. As adults, we have an obligation to do everything in our power to protect them and advance their interests. Of course, we also have a major economic concern insofar as there's just a lack of jobs. There are people who are frankly at the age where they should be gainfully employed and they just don't work for one reason or another. And that, of course, also contributes to a lot of the abuse and neglect docket issues that we have, particularly the inability to provide fit, apt, and suitable homes for children and the inability to provide for children's well-being. So I believe we need to fix our economy and we need to provide for these kids.
Ms. Jordan, same question. What is the most important things facing your district?
I certainly agree with everything that Mackenzie said. In addition to that, I think we need to support our small businesses and give them incentives to open up and support them while they are open. We need to support our infrastructure that is crippling. We need to help people get jobs. We need to help them maintain jobs. Our economy is suffering greatly because people continue to leave. So we have to create an incentive for people to stay. I don't quite know what the answer to that is at this moment, but I will do my best to find out. Thank you.
Okay, moving into closing statements from our House of Delegates, and we will go in reverse order as those opening statements. So first on that closing, Byron Tucker, Jr.
Again, I'm Byron Tucker Jr. I would hope that everyone would consider a vote for me. And when I'm elected, I'll be available with all of my campaign materials now. I already have my cell phone number, my email address on it. I will be available. You call me, you send an email, I will get back with you. Communications is absolute necessity. Transparency, anything that I do involving the job, you're more than welcome to ask about the transparency. You can look at all of our campaign work on the State Secretary of State's office website. You can see how we spend our money, our personal money, our campaign money, and that might give an idea of how we would spend your money and how we would take care of it. And I will listen to anyone. When I was an inspector, I had to, as part of my job, I had to listen to your reasoning why that really wasn't a violation of the law, or why a hazard that I saw really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So I'm a listener and a problem solver. Like I say, we help, as an inspector, we always had to help people fix the problems, come up with solutions. I believe in breaking down everything, again, to the smallest level that we can. And it's root cause analysis is what MSHA called it. But you ask why? Why do we have this problem? Why do we have a drug problem in Nicholas County? Why do we have homeless people in Nicholas County? Well, we break that down. Where can we stop and fix that problem? Where can we stop it and get it taken care of? Again, I'm Byron Tucker, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Newt McCutcheon.
Well, you know, this is uncharted territory for me. You can count on me to do the right thing. I'll never hide anything from you. You'll know where you stand with Newt. I have led, I have worked with every kind of person that you can be associated with in the United States Army. And I was pretty successful there. And I'm a fast learner. I've got to jump in and get my feet wet. I listen to all these folks up here, you know. I'm just a different kind of guy, all right? I am. In that everything I've done has been public service. The way I communicate is totally different than the way that these folks communicate. I have worked my whole life with hard men and some hard women too. And I liked it. I did. I loved it. And I would go back tomorrow. But, you know, I hope you'll consider me. I love my country. I love my state. I missed this state in West Virginia, or when I was in the Army. I always came back for deer season when I could. And, you know, I'm all about the 2A. I'm going to tell you, our country would have descended into chaos at this point had it not been for the Second Amendment. I don't know if you know that or not, but it would have. Let me tell you something. I love this country. I love the state. And I know there's great people out there. All right. I'm willing to work with anybody. All right. Anybody. As long as they do the right thing. All right. As long as they do the right thing. And it's all about selfless service. Hell, that's all I know. Thank you very much.
Mr. Stanley Atkins.
One of the questions I heard was, what are we going to do to help Nicholas County? There's one word. What's going to help Nicholas County? Jobs. 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 People stay here because they can work here. People, their drug problem, our foster care, it's all about jobs. We have to find a way to get jobs here. And the legislature that I was a part of, you know, we passed about, I think, 9 economic development jobs bills. Never to do that. The Senate did too. Thank you, Vince. But we have to get jobs here. That's critical. And you know, when I was the mayor of Summersville, I thought the same thing, and that's been 17, 18 years ago. But we had to say, listen, what are we going to do? Well, we had to have infrastructure. We built a new water plant. We built a new sewer plant. We brought the armory in, built a senior citizen center. We remodeled the city building. We built sidewalks. You know, you have to have, if someone said, well, listen, we're going to build a Toyota plant up in Glade Creek, and we're going to have 1,000 employees, where are they going to live? Where are they going to go to school? You know, how are you going to get them water? How are you going to get them sewer? You know, we have to start small, but we have to be ready. You know, we talked about data centers. Summersville right now can produce about 6 million gallons a day. They sell about 3. We could furnish a data center and they'll put the water right back. You know, I don't know about all the environmental stuff, but we can't have a 3,000 person employer here. They won't come here. They talked about the power for the data centers. Our power plants, our coal-fired power plants in West Virginia run at about 48% capacity. They can produce more power right now. And that costs us more because the fixed costs are spread over a fewer number of people than if we expanded that. And most of those data centers have microgrids and produce their own power using gas, coal, wind, solar. So I think we have to find a way, and I can't do it. It has to be everybody in here. It has to be the county commission. It has to be me. It has to be Senator Deeds. It has to be, we all have to do this. So if you elect me and come down and say, okay, you do it, not going to work. Everybody has to get involved. Mr. Tucker said he'd be transparent. If you're a delegate, you're real transparent. You know, you go to Kroger, they're going to talk to you. You go to Walmart, they're going to talk to you. They're going to call you. You know, I don't hide. I go right out. But everybody has the right to talk to you. Everybody has the right to email you. They don't need your cell phone number. They'll get it.
There's that red card again. It's pesky. All right, Ms. Mackenzie Holdren.
Thank you, everyone. As he stated, my name is Mackenzie Holdren, and I am a Republican candidate for the House of Delegates, District 48. Of course, during election season, everybody gets up and starts talking about the economy because it's something that we are all concerned with. However, as a 29-year-old small business owner, of course, I own my own law firm. I opened it up back in 2023. I've represented at least 200 clients per year since its inception. I understand the risks and rewards that come with business ownership, and that's probably why I'm endorsed by the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We have absolutely got to incentivize young people to stay. We have got to create a younger workforce, and we have got to incentivize people to start businesses. It is so hard to access necessary professional services in this area because we just don't have anybody to do the work. We need jobs, but the way that we do that is by incentivizing other companies to come in here and start up, and we do that by offering tax incentives and other breaks that will make people want to come in and do that. We have got to fix the abuse and neglect docket in this state. Given my professional experience, I have a deep understanding of the changes that need to be made to West Virginia Code Chapter 49 to ensure that these judges are able to prioritize the well-being of children over the wants and thoughts of their parents. That is a major issue. Judges' hands are frankly tied by that code, and a lot of the things that we've implemented in an attempt to help people have actually really hindered what we need to be doing. I am pro-law enforcement, of course pro-military. I am pro-working class people. We have a lot more money and resources in this state than people realize, but we are not spending it responsibly to help support the working class people. So again, I'm Mackenzie Holdren, and I would ask for your vote if you are in District 48. Thank you.
And Ms. Jordan Deeds.
Thank you for holding. So we left off with how are we going to fix the laundry list of items. This will not fix everything, but it sure will help, and it is the legalization of cannabis. Other states have gone before us, and that's the benefit that we have. Other states have made mistakes, and other states have benefited. Ohio saw a $42 million revenue over 18 months. Maryland saw 191. I know we will have concerns about this, and your concerns are valid, and of course we will hear them, and we will see to it that they are validated. Our issues that we have with infrastructure, jobs, public education, all of these are about humanity. These issues are humanity. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. We're in this together. We live in this state together. This is our home, and we can take care of it. And this is my job interview for you all. I'm here to represent you and hear your concerns and your wants and needs, and I would love to hear more. I would love to listen, and I would love to try, and I would love your vote and your support. And if you can't vote for me in the primary, then please vote for my friend Mackenzie Holdren. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. Thank you to the Summersville Chamber of Commerce, and thank you to this beautiful building. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, House of Delegates. All right, we have come to the point of the program where we're going to take a small break. Now, normally we take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but because this is going on and we're getting lots of questions and lots of answers and maybe some people not seeing the red card, so we have to cut our intermission to 5 minutes. So you got 5 minutes. If you need to go use the bathroom, you may do so. Go grab a cookie. I will say that Miss Rita is out front. If they have additional cards if you want to fill some out with some of those questions. We will be right back. Okay, hopefully you found your way to the back and found yourself a cookie, a snack, maybe a drink, a cup of coffee. I'm not exactly sure what's all back there, but hopefully you found something. We are going to get started. I do think it's important to ask some of those questions, but we do need to kind of, as a friend of mine, Brad, always tells me, we need to rapidito it. It means to speed that thing up. So we're going to try our best to do so, but in doing so, we also don't want to miss those things that you really want. So, first one we got is Justice of Supreme Court making a statement is going to be Laura Faircloth. And if she'll start making her way to the stage, see her right there. So if you'll make your way to your seats, just have a seat. So Justice of Supreme Court, Laura Faircloth, in her statement.
Thank you so much. Everybody hear me? Good? My name is Laura Faircloth. I'm currently serving as a circuit judge in Berkeley County, West Virginia. And if you don't know where that is, it's up on the panhandle that sticks out like a teapot. It's not the one at the top. And I have lived there my entire life. I am a fifth-generation farmer, and I don't mean a girl that lives on a farm. I mean a farmer. And I raise walking fertilizer, for those of you who don't know what that is. Those are animals that are beautiful and they don't serve much other purpose. So I have rescue horses as well as rescue livestock and almost any other animal that can only see that invisible sign to the rest of us that says free medical care and food here, and they end up there and this is where they stay. So I'm also telling you that I'm from the Panhandle for a couple of other reasons. I was the first woman to establish her own law firm that was a multi-dimensional firm, meaning we did a little bit of everything, and that means I know what it's like to be a small business owner and to make payroll and to have to pay taxes and to take care of everybody else before you get paid. So I'm aware of that, and I tell you that because it means I'm down to earth and I think with common sense. The other thing I want to say about the Eastern Panhandle is it's not much different than you guys. We, as I've learned around the state in my travels, all of us, unless we live in Charleston, feel like we've been forgotten by Charleston and that Charleston doesn't hear us. So I can assure you that I am walking in step with you as you feel that, and therefore part of my mission to be on the Supreme Court is to bring common sense and awareness to all of the West Virginians because we share so much in common. That having been said, I distinguish myself in a couple of different ways. Number one, I'm the only woman that's running for justice on the Supreme Court. And I'm a biological woman at that, so I just want to make that clear. And you know, I say that in jest, but it's kind of sad that we have to even talk that way because it is an absence of common sense and reality, and that's something, again, that I would want to bring to the bench. There are three things that you don't mess with in my courtroom, and I've said this all across the state. There are a lot of things, a lot of laws that I uphold as well, but three of the primary things you don't mess with in my courtroom is number one, the Constitution, number two, victims of domestic violence, and number three, children. And if you're going to do that in my courtroom, it's not going to be a good day for you. And I would bring that sense, that common sense, and that justice to the Supreme Court. Now, what else distinguishes me from the others in the race? Well, I'm not a good old boy. Never have been. Never got the t-shirt, never got the membership card, and don't want it. I am tired of business as usual with chosen people who aren't elected by the people and who have a sense of power that comes from somewhere other than what the people give them. And I am the only person on the ballot with judge or justice in front of her name who has been elected in a challenged election by the people, and number two, who has not been appointed by a governor. Now, governors have to fill vacancies. That's a constitutional job that they have. But the problem with that is, historically in West Virginia, is once you're chosen, once you're selected, no real decent lawyer, unless they're sure they're going to win, is going to challenge you because they're going to be challenging someone they ran against. It just doesn't happen. So I am also putting my hat in the ring for Supreme Court justice to give the voters a choice. Now, there are two divisions. There's Division 1 and Division 2. Division 2 has 2 people running in it. Division 1 is the one that I'm running in. There are 5. And I chose to put my hat in the ring on this race, primarily because, number one, I wanted to give people a choice. Number two, I really respect and honor the legacy left by Justice Armstead because that's whose seat is being filled on a permanent basis. He was quite a warrior, and he served along with my husband in the West Virginia legislature. My husband was Larry Faircloth, the older one, and he served for 22 years in the House of Delegates. So he served with Justice Armstead, and I had an opportunity to meet him. And I can't think of anyone who would have been better for that time in West Virginia history and the history of the Supreme Court to be involved in politics and to sit on the court. That was when we had the $35,000 couch. Everybody remember that? And then the $7,500 cushions that went with the couch because, you know, you had to have it a matching set. And so as I understand it, that now sits in Ethics Counsel's office. And I've talked to our Ethics Counsel, and she said it's just a constant reminder that we are to do the right thing. So as I'm seeing the red card, and thank you, there's another way you can remember me. If you put Faircloth on the Supreme Court, I'll put the fair in Faircloth. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Laura Faircloth, for your opening statement, or actually for your just statement. So appreciate that. All right, let me welcome to the stage, as Miss Laura, you can actually exit the stage, the two people that we have running for U.S. Senate. We have two people running for U.S. House. Now, as I call those four people to the stage, we do not currently have any questions for them. So if you have a question, please write that question down, raise that hand, get it to us, and we will ask them. So for U.S. State Senate, coming to the stage, Jeff Kessler. U.S. Senate, Jeff Kessler, and Rachel Fetty Anderson. Come on up and have a seat on the chairs, please. For U.S. House, we have Vince George and Britt Aguirre. All right, we will start with our opening statements. So let's start first with U.S. Senate. Mr. Jeff Kessler.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Kessler, and I'd like to be your next United States Senator. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. Live up in the Northern Panhandle, born up in Wheeling. Have a law firm in Moundsville, West Virginia. Proud father of four boys that are ages 35, 20, 17, and 11. So a lot of folks, I tell, kid me and say, you know, they're worried about their 401ks at this stage in life, but I still worry about K through 12, excuse me. But in any event, I've been practicing law for 45 years. I do everything from adoptions to estates and probate. I take care of the people in my community from cradle to grave. I've been a prosecutor, a municipal judge. I've been a special prosecutor. I'm probably the only one running for the Senate that's ever put a man in prison for rape or murder or whatever. After serving in those capacities, I served in the state Senate for 19 years. The last 4 of those years, I was the president of the Senate and lieutenant governor of the state of West Virginia. And during that, I ran for governor in 2016, got beat by Jim Justice in the primary, and I'll tell you, it's tough to beat a billionaire. But, so big money plays a big role in it. Of course, he ran as a Democrat at that time, and after being sworn in, switched. You know, I am running for Senate because I am the only candidate that's got experience at the local, or state, and county level. And I know how government works and doesn't work. And what I'm seeing right now is a federal government that does not work, quite frankly. You know, I see people turning against each other. You know, there's 3 things I think that run government today. It's party, power, and punishment of the other side. How about worrying about 2 Ps? Good public policy and the people that you represent. That's what I'll do.
Also for U.S. Senate, Rachel Fetty Anderson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for the warm welcome. In a mixed Republican and Democratic environment, I like to think that it's just like home, only y'all are very, very nice. I'm here to ask the independents and Democrats for your vote in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. I appreciated so much our opening statements. I could see the monuments of the Capitol in my mind as you spoke of them. I too feel the gravity of history as I walk past the statues erected to the courage of our grandparents, our parents, and some of our candidates here. I see their efforts, I see their sacrifice. I've had the opportunity to travel across West Virginia over the past few months, and as I travel, I feel the weight of another kind. West Virginians are passionate about our children. We have an extraordinary work ethic, and we love the beauty of the mountains. We love this place that we call home. But despite our efforts, West Virginians and West Virginia still struggles. Despite being 5th in the country in energy production, we are 51st in median income. Despite our love for our children and our grandchildren, our education system is underfunded, and our kids are suffering. Despite our amazing contributions to our country, our families and seniors are struggling as we close hospitals and struggle with costs. I'm asking for your vote in the upcoming primary because we deserve so much more, not because we ask, but because we have earned it. We earn, we contribute, we pay taxes just like everyone else in this country. There's no reason for us to be at the bottom. Someday I hope that we will look at our state and see clean water, living wages, a fully funded healthcare system, safe schools, and I pray that those will be our monuments, the monuments that the leaders in this room create. These will be the monuments that will welcome our children home. These will be the monuments that will bring our families together, and I know that we can do it together. Thank you.
Okay, and for U.S. House, Vince George.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the turnout. And I'm a senior citizen. I came out of retirement to do this. I never saw this coming to run for U.S. House. But I got so angry last summer with the big, ugly, backstabbing bill that was passed on us at the national level that I decided, people say, well, what can you do, what can you do? Well, I decided to run because I want to see if West Virginians are going to defend themselves, and I believe they will. That bill is a 10-year budget. It is not a one-year budget. It is 10 years. There's $1 billion being taken out of West Virginia Medicaid alone each year for 10 years. We can't afford that. Those are payrolls. Those are hospitals. Those are careers. Those are the places we told our young people to go into health care to take care of us. Now we're taking the money away to pay them. So Carol Miller is part of the gang of 4 that robbed the bank, and I'm here to get the money back. And the thing is, we can do that. We can repeal it. We're going to take back the House, very likely this fall, the Democrats, and likely the Senate may turn too. This is one of those years. Doesn't happen but every 10, 20, 30 years, but there's going to be a lot of turnover. And I want to also mention some other issues. I passed out these cards. Some of you have them, some of you don't. I've got more in the car. I've got enough. I hope I'm going to be able to need them or run through November 3rd. But Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and veterans benefits, all of those things have been cut under this 10-year budget. And in fact, veterans benefits at the VA were cut by $23 billion in March of 25, separate from the big ugly bill. So in this state, that's a no-go. I've got relatives who are World War II vets, Korea, Vietnam, Kosovo, Iraq, Egypt. That's a no-go, and they're all dead, but they'd be jumping up and down right now about any cut to the VA. And that was, the VA needs more. If we're going to send people overseas, we need to take care of them when they come home. And is that time? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, thank you all. I appreciate it.
Also for U.S. House, Britt Aguirre.
How are you, Nicholas County? Thanks for having us out today. My name is Britt
Britta Aguirre, and you'll see my name on the ballot, and I'm running for the Democratic nomination for U.S. House. Yes, there's my sign back there. I'm a boots and grassroots candidate. Matter of fact, as I was sitting there preparing, there was a tick crawling on my shirt. I had to get up and go take it out there. But you know why? Because I was putting my signs out when I was on my way up here. I have traveled to almost the entire district. We have signs in every county except 10, and there's 28 counties in District 1. You don't see Carol Miller talking about that. Matter of fact, I don't see her here. Do y'all? Thank you. So with that being said, I'm a Marshall University graduate, and I studied communication studies, and I was in college the first time around Donald J. Trump ran for office when Hitler 2.0, was running for the first time around. And so I saw what was happening, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree with a baby on my hip, and I am currently a small business owner, an entrepreneur, and a working class candidate. Matter of fact, I worked before I drove down here. So with that being said, I'm running for Congress because I'm a mother on a mission to make sure the planet is habitable for my children, because if we don't change courses, it won't be. Like I said, I'm boots and grassroots, but I'm running to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And I heard that a lot tonight. But we have a felon in office. Do you know that disqualifies him? Article 2, Section 4, am I right? So let's get him out of office. I'm not running against Trump, but what I am running for is dignity for the working class, for people over profit, because politics as usual is over. With that being said, I'm endorsed by West Virginia Can't Wait, the National Organization for Women, APAC Tracker, which means I take zero corporate money because I answer to we the people, because we the people have had enough. Send me to Congress, and I'm asking you for your vote on May 12th. Thank you so much, Britt Aguirre, candidate for U.S. House.
Well, if you got a little sleepy, you're not sleepy now. Thank you, Miss Britt. Appreciate that. All right, our next question. We do have a couple questions. This question is going to be for both offices, so all four of the candidates that are running, that are sitting here. And we'll go in all kinds of different order here. Let's go with Miss Rachel Fetty Anderson first. So if you'll make your way to the podium. The question I have is, how would you vote on the Save America Act?
No. I think it is very... I am a woman who has been married twice. I love men so much. But I have come across a very special situation. When we adopted our son, we asked him, we said, "Son, what name would you like to have as your last name? You can pick any name you want." And he was full of opinions because he was 14 years old and he'd been with us for a few years, but he did decide to take his dad's last name. And I said, "If you take your dad's last name, I will too." So I am in a complicated situation. I have a passport. I have a driver's license. None of those things match. I have a birth certificate. My birth certificate and my passport are the same. My driver's license does not match any of my other ID. And what I can say is this. We cannot pass a law that will change the requirements for identification. All identification changes must be free. They must be available to folks immediately upon request, and the government should pay for it. And if they decide that they want to have everyone to have a voter ID with their name and their photo and everything like that on it, they need to give us at least a year to prepare. Thank you.
Mr. Jeff Kessler, same question.
Absolutely a no. No question whatsoever. That is the SAVE Act discriminates against women. When a woman has to go in to vote and provide more information than a man does, they ought to be identical. It is discriminatory. It also results in being a poll tax, which means, as was mentioned earlier, if you were born in Ohio under one name, you got married in West Virginia, you got divorced and then moved to Kentucky, and then got remarried, you would have to get not only all those documents together, not just photocopies, you would have to get certified copies of those documents. Each of them are going to cost $10, $12, $20 a piece to get it, and weeks to get them. Now, here's the other problem I have with the act, and it's real quick. I've served in the legislature and passed election laws. Why does this one have to be effective now? They want it now to keep people away from the polls. If it's such a good idea, let them pass it, make it effective 4 years, 6 years from now, and you'll see all the appetite for it go away.
All right, Miss Britt Aguilar. Same question. Have you, or how would you, vote on the Save America Act?
I will echo what these other lovely candidates have talked about, and to say that if a woman has to do one more thing than a man, that is discrimination. Okay, to get the vote. We have people who are actively in politics, or trying to be, who are trying to say to repeal the 19th Amendment. Google it. Google it. I'm pretty sure this is my time though. So with that being said, well, we value freedom of speech over here. We protect and defend the Constitution, so we honor your freedom of speech. Thank you so much for that. With that being said, we do not want to discriminate against women, and we have people actively saying they want to repeal the 19th. We fought hard for that. Matter of fact, my ancestors fought and died in the Matewan Massacre to defend this country, to defend the right to organize, and we're going to continue that lineage. Thank you so much for asking.
Mr. Vince George, same question.
Yeah, as far as the SAVE Act goes, I think it finally maybe has died a death. I'm not sure. They keep trying to resurrect it. This is a voter suppression bill. This is a bill that could affect as many as 29 million people in the country, most of them women. It's not right, it's unequal, and it's an attack on people's voting rights. There shouldn't be two different standards. You're either a citizen in the country to be able to vote, or you're not. But it shouldn't have things that we know by way of marital records and birth records will inevitably discriminate against women more than any other group. And there are. I'm not talking about an ID. I'm not talking about an ID. I'm talking about the SAVE Act. That was the question. The SAVE Act. Will you let me finish the question? Yeah. Okay. So the SAVE Act, and to echo the other candidates here, it's a hard no for me. If I was in the House now, I would vote no on it.
Love our passion. Love that you're so intense, but I do want to remind you that if you do have questions, please fill those cards out, submit those things, and we will see what we got. Moving right along, we're going to move right into our closing statements by our candidates, and we will go in the reverse order that we did for our opening statement. So, U.S. House, Miss Britt Aguirre.
You'll see my name, Britta Aguirre, on the ballot on May 12th, and I'm asking you to send me through to the general election to defeat Carol Miller, or the Pick Me MAGA Republican that says yes to everything that Donald J. Trump does. Because politics, as usual, is over. We will not continue with this. Matter of fact, the reason I'm running is Riley Moore, our Representative 2 from Congressional District 2, did a thumbs up in front of CCOT, a modern-day concentration camp. And I flipped those tables as Jesus Christ would have us do, and I decided to run for office. So I'm an advocate, I'm a community organizer, I'm an activist, and now I'm a politician. And that means I'm doing everything I can to make sure this does not happen again. I support getting dark money out of politics, overturning Citizens United. I also support term limits. I'm here for such a time as this. My great-grandfather did not come from Spain to get stuck in Cuba and come here legally for me to not stand up for immigrants and to not stand up for the marginalized. My uncle Ed Chambers that I referenced earlier didn't fight and die in the Battle of Bloody Mingo and the mine wars for me to sit and lick the boots of the company stores here. And I also didn't for 12 years recite for liberty and justice for all, for me to not stand up and fight for liberty and justice for all for such a time as this. I want to make West Virginia the best place for our children to live, the best place for our working class to rebuild and to return to West Virginia that I once knew. And we're going to build a long-term future for our children and center longevity and sustainability. My name is Britt Aguirre, and I am a working class candidate running on a grassroots campaign with an average donation of $19 per person, or per donation, because politics as usual is over. Send me to Congress to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and to get the pedophiles out of office. Thank you very much.
Also running for U.S. House, Vince George.
Yeah, I just want to mention a couple of things that I want to focus on too for issues. I've mentioned Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and excuse me, and veterans benefits. There's also three other issues that are percolating throughout the state with this next election. Those are the AI data centers, which I believe we need some kind of moratorium on until we know more. And there's actually been federal legislation proposed for that. It's coming too fast. We don't know enough about it. We don't know what effects it's going to have. We don't know what kind of resources it's going to use, or how our bills are going to be affected too, which are already high: electric, gas, and water in West Virginia amongst the states. Also, I want to raise the minimum wage at least twice to $15. I believe it's overdue. That's actually still lower than what the rate of inflation would call for wages now. In forever wars, we're spending more than $2 billion per day, this government, in Iran right now. Iran, Lebanon, and Gaza, supporting Israel, killing people with our tax dollars. I'm against that. I don't want to support a genocidal regime. I don't want to spend my money violating our laws and international laws too. And that money, by the way, there was a lack of extension of the ACA tax credits that started on January 1 of this year, affecting as many as 15 million people in this country. $1 billion a day, or over $2 million a day, that covers the $30 billion bill in 15 days. They lighted that money on fire, or they could have had health care. We've had the biggest reduction under this bill of health care and nutrition assistance in the history of the country. This has never been done before, and it's wrong. It's a moral and economic attack on the population, and I want it to end, and I want to be part of the group that helps repeal these things. Thank you all very much.
U.S. Senate, Rachel Fetty Anderson.
Again, my name is Rachel Fetty Anderson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate, and you can vote for me in the primary. If you are registered as a Democrat or no party or an independent, you can just ask for a Democratic ballot, because our ballots are still open. Because we welcome your input and we welcome your thoughts about how this country should be run. I'm very excited for this opportunity to run on your behalf, because I really believe that part of the reason we struggle so much between the parties and amongst ourselves is because so much of our government has been taken over by extremely high campaign donations from corporations, from industry, and from folks who are representing other countries. Whatever those countries, those corporations, or industries may be, they seek tax benefits, and then they take their tax benefits that they've accrued, and then they use it to buy off our campaign candidates, and they use it to buy our representatives. It is devastating our democracy, and I urge us all to focus on electing candidates who are committed to staying away from dirty money, staying away from corporate funding, staying away from industry money, and staying away from PAC money that supports other countries. Because I am concerned, like so many of you, about your children, our grandchildren being drafted. I have a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old. I know that those children may very well be drafted, even if it's only because Palantir thinks it's a great idea to have a mandatory draft so that they can have bodies to serve their AI. I want to say here that it's very important that we fight for our clean water, that we not make the same mistakes as our surrounding states, as Texas, as Virginia. Our energy is expensive because it's being shuttled to Virginia, where it is fully energizing the data centers of Virginia. I'm looking forward to the election, and I know that we can work together to make this state a safer, better place, because that's what we deserve, that's what we've earned, and that's what we've paid for. Thanks so much.
And U.S. State Senate, Jeff Kessler.
Thank you. I'm running for the United States Senate because Shelley Moore Capito has forgotten who she represents. She doesn't meet with her people. She doesn't have town halls. The only time you see her getting out and around is when she's handing out checks of our tax dollars for projects. That's it. You never see her. I will represent you every day. You know, I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO, Communication Workers of America, as well as West Virginia Can't Wait, because we can't wait. We really can't wait to restore our government that's responsive to the people that it's supposed to represent. You know, every single day that I'm serving in the Senate, I will look after you. Not the special interests, not the big money. You know, when I was president of the Senate, I'd look up and I'd see all those suits up in the balconies representing all the special interests and the monies that were pulling, and all the folks were pulling all the strings. My job was to represent the people that live in those little white houses in my communities. That's what I've done for a living. If you check my record, that's what I've done every single vote I've made during my legislative career. I don't want this job forever. Don't ask me about term limits. I want to get over, fix the mess we've got, and go back home. Just like you, to take care of my family, my children, to make sure that we have health care, to make sure that we have an adequate education system. And you got to be able to say no. And what you don't hear, she has ceded. Shelley Moore Capito has ceded and abdicated her duty as a person of the legislature, which is basically to be a co-equal branch of government. Whatever the executive wants, she votes yes. She votes yes every single time, every single vote. I'll vote with only one thing in mind. That's the people I represent. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you to the candidates. All right, so those of you who are watching and are still with us, we have two more different groups. I'm going to go with the State Senate of District 10. So those coming forward, Jonathan Comer, Vince Dietz, and Kent Gilkerson. All right, and we will start with our opening statements, moving right along just in alphabetical order. Those closing statements will be in that reverse order. So the first one, State Senate District 10, Jonathan Comer.
Thank you so much. And it's good to be here, Jonathan Comer for West Virginia State Senate. And I've enjoyed traveling Nicholas County, and you have a beautiful county, and I thank the Lord for the opportunity to meet so many people in this county. And it's a joy to be here today. I'd like for you to know a couple things about me. First of all, number one is that I'm a Christian. That's number one. The greatest day of my life was the day I trusted Jesus Christ as my Savior as a 12-year-old boy. And that's what frames all of my values in life. And so I'd like for you to first of all know that I'm a Christian. Number two, I'm a conservative. I'm a common sense conservative. I was born and raised a Republican. I like to say it this way. My mom and daddy raised me right. They raised me as a Republican, and I am a grateful Republican, have been a Republican all of my life. And so those two things, I'm a Christian and that I am a common sense conservative, and also in those order. I was born and raised in Kanawha County, in Charleston, in a little place called Kanawha State Forest, and that's where I learned to love West Virginia and to love the people, love nature, riding mountain bikes, playing sports in the park entrance. And so this is where I learned to just love, really the true treasure of West Virginia is our people, and to love the people of West Virginia. My wife is here with me tonight. Bethany, I love you. She's my rock. And we're grateful to be able, for the last 26 years, to be serving at the Lewisburg Baptist Church. And so during those 26 years, we have started a Christian academy that now has a couple hundred students. We've started a child care center. And so we've been working with families all throughout the area. And I believe that's one of the things that will help me in the Senate, is working with lots of people. And I will do what's best for West Virginia in the state Senate because I love the state. Thank you.
All right, next is Vince Dietz.
Well, good evening. Yeah, I want to first thank the Chamber for putting on this event. It's really great to see each and every one of you. It's been my high honor for the last 4 years to represent you as your state senator. And I take that very humbly, and it's a great opportunity for us to come together this evening and talk about the issues that affect us here in Nicholas County and throughout the region. Now, just to remind you a little bit about me, I grew up on a dairy farm over in Jumping Branch. If you know where Jumping Branch is, you get extra credit, okay? It's over in Summers County, in that area. Grew up there, and one thing that's unique about Summers County and that Jumping Branch area is there was a number of pastors and troopers that come from that area, you know, and I was a dairy farm boy, and so I was in awe of the pastors and the troopers there. And so as I grew up, I went to college over in Virginia Tech, came back, and signed up for the state police. And so my oath and my obligation is to protect and serve the people of West Virginia. It has been for a number of years, and I've done that in the state police. I've done it in my pastoral work. I've had churches, a church in Greenbrier County and a church in Monroe County, Sinks Grove Baptist Church. If you know where Sinks Grove is, you get extra credit as well. It's just a small country church. But throughout the time, one of the blessings, and I'll tell you a little bit about my family. Our family is a family of service. My wife, I met her over a bank robbery, okay? And I met her, and she stole my heart. How you like that, okay? But no, it's truly over a bank robbery. And we had a really a divine intervention, really, to meet each other. We raised two sons. One's in law enforcement. He's a DNR officer here in Fayette County. He also has a feed and fertilize business. And our youngest son is actually getting ready to graduate from West Point. And so we have been here. We're a family of service, and it's my high honor to protect and serve the constituents of the 10th District. And so hope to continue to do that. Thank you.
And Mr. Kent Gilkerson.
Hello, everyone. You can't really tell from down there, but we got an extremely bright light in our eyes here. I kind of feel like a deer on my strawberry patch in the middle of the night. But so my name's Kent Gilkerson. I'm from Fayette County originally. I grew up in Edmond, on the edge of the New River Gorge there. After high school, I graduated in 1994 from Millen Trail High School. I bounced around colleges a little bit. I went to Concord for 1 year. Thought I wanted to be a game biologist. Then I come out here. Used to be the Glenville Extension out here across from Summers, from the McDonald's. And then I ended up transferred to the College of West Virginia up in Beckley. So I wasn't really taking college seriously at the time. Then my mother had a conversation with me talking about how it was her life goal for me to graduate college. She's seen the struggles of all of our friends and families with no good jobs. And so I buckled down. I graduated college, and then I got a job at Anthony Correctional Center up in Greenbrier County. Worked there for a year, and then got a job with the Federal Bureau of Prisons in Alderson. So I just recently retired there, had 25 years of service. During that time, I became very active in our union and was on our executive board for almost 25 years of that career. I still serve with the union now. Unions have took a major hit over the last little bit.
in the federal system. They kicked us out of our offices, and now we're having union meetings in my house. So for the last several years, I've been fighting for workers' rights. I've fought them at work. I took them to arbitration when we couldn't settle at work, and I'd like to do the same for the people of the 10th District. Thank you.
Mr. Kent, don't go from that podium. Come on back. The next question is going to be, yep, Mr. Kent, for all of those, the candidates here on stage. And the question was submitted, where do you stand on school choice versus public schools?
I think Mackenzie, if everybody's here, I think she hit the nail on the head there. And I want to go a little bit further with our schools and with the 10th District here. So the 10th District is losing about 100 school positions next year because we're taking all the funding from the public schools. So 100 positions, if you average those out, about $40,000 per with benefit package and everything, that's $4 million additional dollars that's leaving the 10th District. I cannot support that. Now, if people want to have their children in public or private schools, by all means, go ahead. But one of the main things that I see with that, I believe I got a very good education in a public school because my parents cared. If your parents didn't care, then you didn't really get a great education in public school. And that's going to be the same thing, the kids that in their homeschooling, if their parents don't care, they might care for this $5,000 we're going to give them, but they're still not going to get a good education. Thank you.
Mr. Vince Dietz, same question. Where do you stand on school choice versus public schools?
Thank you for the question. And one of my positions, I work for the prosecutor's office, but I'm also the director of safety and security for Greenbrier County Schools. So I know the public education system very well. I know the private school process as well. Homeschooling. One thing that COVID taught us was how important it is to have contact with our children day in and day out. And with that being said, I believe in school choice, but we need to level the playing field. Right now, there's no accountability really for homeschooling as far as a testing process. What we need is a quality education. That is one of the tenets of good government, is to provide a quality education and make sure that we have those young people growing up so they can provide a service back and serve our communities. And we can do that. We can do that as long as we level the playing field. We have to take care of public education, especially because they're doing some heavy lifts right now as far as special needs kids and transportation. It's very expensive. But we need to level the playing field. Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan, same question. Where do you stand on school choice versus public schools?
Well, first of all, we have 3 daughters, and our middle daughter is going to be married next month to a proud graduate of Greenbrier West, and so we're thankful for that. Also, I started at Christian Academy. I know what it feels like, what it's like to start with just 8 students and to grow over the last 21 years. And so I am an individual that believes every parent should have the choice to educate their children the way they want to educate their children. And I'm for a public school. No one, as a pastor, I work with public school kids every week, Wednesdays, Sundays. As a matter of fact, I drive the van sometimes on Wednesday night for the children, but I believe that every parent should have the choice to educate their children and meet each individual child's needs.
All right, next question is for all candidates, and we'll start with Mr. Vince this time. Question is, how will you work to create jobs in Nicholas County and in District 10?
Sure. It's a great question, and it's very important because I feel like that we have to always have a prosperous economy, no matter where we're at. It all starts with the economy and jobs. Now, I was blessed. I was part of the biggest tax cut ever in state history as part of my legislative term in the Senate. Now we have more work to do. We have to build a consensus, and we do. Between the Senate and the House, we have a jobs caucus that concentrates on developing legislation that encourages business to come to West Virginia. But it takes everybody. It really does. It takes the local communities, the county commissioners, and your input to let us know what you feel comfortable having in your community. And and then it takes us at the Capitol sitting down with the executive, sitting down with the leadership of the Senate and the House and our higher education and saying, hey, how can we have business come up and develop on Route 19? Because there's great opportunities. Everyone is wanting to come home to West Virginia and really enjoy a prosperous economy here. Because we love living here, right? We're born and raised here. We love living here. And I tell you, everybody that comes and visits wants to stay here. So let's get some jobs for them. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Kent, same question to you. How will you work to create jobs in Nicholas County and in District 10?
So I myself am a small business owner, as I mentioned there with the strawberry farm. Several years ago, we planted 500 strawberry plants. I got a business license. Really didn't know what we was doing, but over time, we've built up to 50,000 strawberry plants. We didn't need a place to sell our strawberries, so we created a festival. And now on that festival day, we have over 2,000 additional cars, the mayor told us, that comes into that community. We bring well over 100 grand into that community on that one day. So I think we need a lot of business training. I was talking about the business license. Anybody can go to the Secretary of State's office for a few bucks. They have a business. And then the majority of them fail. I believe we need some training when these folks get business license to teach them how to be business owners. Thank you.
And Mr. Jonathan, same question. How will you work to create jobs in Nicholas County and in District 10?
Well, of course, no one has the magic wand, but all of us know that we need to expand our coal, our natural gas industry. That needs to be expanded in our state. We need to bring back manufacturing in our state back to West Virginia. Think about tourism, and when I think about there's over $9 billion spent in tourism in our state. 77.2 million people visit our state a year, and so we need to lower our tax rate so that when people come and they visit, when they ski in our ski resorts, when they raft down the New River, they say this is a place that we can not only visit, but we can stay here, we can find a job, we can raise our family in these beautiful mountains.
All right, this question is for all candidates as well. And this time, let's see, we will start with Mr. Kent. Many bills presented to the Senate impact county budgets. How will you build and maintain insight into the budgets of counties that you serve?
So I think a lot of these, we always like to talk about tax cuts and how we love tax cuts, but we do need services. So we can't continue to just needlessly cut taxes. I know that's probably not popular, but then we're disregarding services. So we bragged about cutting taxes this year, income taxes, and then a bill that was very much needed and went through, got vetoed over the foster care because we didn't have enough money for it. So we need to look at our budgets and before we start just cutting taxes for the sole purpose of it's election year and it's popular to cut taxes.
Mr. Vince, same question. Many bills presented to the Senate impact county budgets. How will you build and maintain insight into the budgets of the counties that you serve?
Sure. Back a few years ago, there was an amendment. It was called Amendment 2 that really dealt with property tax. And of course, there was a lot of consternation, concern over that, because what that would do, the county commissions and the counties were concerned about how they would be funded. And it's a justified request. You know, they need to know where the funding comes from. So what we consistently try to do is not put unfunded mandates upon the counties to do certain services, because they take care, they're your law enforcement, they're your EMS, they're your fire departments. They are the ones who are in the middle of the night providing services to you, and your education as well, public education. So what we try to do in the Senate and the House is to minimize the requirements upon local government. One of the things that we need to improve upon too is the regional jail bill, because that is a burden on these counties and across the whole state. We need to figure out a good way to pay for the regional jail bill, because we want law and order, and we don't want to put the burden down on the county level. So thank you, sir.
Mr. Jonathan, same question. Many bills presented to the Senate impact county budgets. How would you be able to maintain insight into the budgets, the counties that you serve?
Okay. I believe that, of course, when I was tossing this idea around about running as a candidate, I went to several people and talked to them, my deacons and church staff, and they were 100% behind me. And I believe that's the way it works. I'm not running to be the chief executive, but working with other senators and working with other men, working with the House, working with the Senate, working in committee, so that we can do what's best for each and every county. And as far as lowering taxes, I think we're overtaxed, and really I think we should attack the population, our population crisis at its core.
All right, moving into our closing statements, and then we'll go in reverse order that we did for our opening statement. So, closing statements, Mr. Kent Gilkerson.
So I'm pretty new at all this debate stuff, not even a debate, meet the candidates. So I didn't really prepare a closing statement. So I'm going to tell you a turkey hunting story. I'm an avid turkey hunter, so me and one of my friends was turkey hunting today, all over the country in Monroe County, Greenbrier County. Had trouble finding some turkeys. Finally, about 9 o'clock, turkeys gobbling everywhere. We thought we'd done found the gold mine. But they was over on the neighbor's property. But I said, well, we're going to sit down, we're going to call them. I mean, they answered every time, gobble, gobble, gobble. For about 2 hours, they come a lot closer, and then nothing. As if you turkey hunt, that way it happens sometimes. So we pack up, we go back, we get in the truck. We go down the road, and my buddy starts laughing. He looks out the window, and there stands 8 humongous white turkeys. We was calling to the neighbors, the farmers' turkeys. And I was bringing them in. Luckily, not one, they didn't walk up there single file, you know, might have been a different outcome. So that kind of brings me to politics a little bit. Just because you're hearing what you want to hear, people, what they're saying what you want to hear, doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're actually hearing. So I forgot to say this earlier, but I've been supported by the United Mine Workers, the Communication Workers of America, AFL-CIO, and West Virginia Can't Wait. They back me because I've been a fighter for the people of this district. Everyone from this district has worked at that federal prison. I fought for every one of them, and I will continue to fight if you'll send me to Charleston. Thank you.
Mr. Vince Dietz.
Once again, I really just want to thank you for coming out, because these candidate forums are very important. It gives you an opportunity to get to know us a little bit and to meet us. But I want you to know that that my door is always open, my phone's always on, and I love to come and visit with people. I love to, especially if you offer coffee, and now I can eat donuts now since I'm retired. Okay, but really, what I want to share with you is I've been tried, tested, and proven. I'm a known commodity, and I've served this state since I turned 18. I have worked hard to protect and serve everyone in the community through my police work, through my pastoral work, and I continue to do that in the Senate, because you matter. ultimately, each individual, from the youngest child to the oldest adult, matters. And you should have a voice, and I hope to be that voice, and I hope to continue to be that voice, because I want to protect and serve you and honor you with your vote. If you vote for Vince Deeds and everything, we can do good deeds together. So May 12th, please vote for me. Thank you.
And last, Mr. Jonathan Coleman.
And again, it's been a privilege to be with you here tonight. I want all of us to know, let me just revisit, if I could, a school choice just for a moment in my closing. It takes $16,000 a year to educate a child in West Virginia. Just a little fact that sometimes overlooked, if they give the $5,100 of that $16,000 to the school, whether that be a homeschool, whether that be a private school, still the child that's living in that particular district, still the school district still receives a portion of that money for needs and services that are much needed for education. And all of us are fighting for children. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And remember, that money that's used for Hope Scholarship is that individual's money. It's a real estate tax. It is their money, and they're using it to educate their children. And I'm looking forward to going to Charleston. I believe Charleston needs change, and I'm looking forward to going there and listening. I was over just a few days ago at the Ramp Festival and talking to people, and I walked behind the serving line, and my favorite line, behind the pies and all the sweets. And I gave the lady one of my palm cards, and she said to me, she said, "You have my vote." And I'm listening to her, and she said, when you get to Charleston, will you remember Nicholas County? And I said to her, I will. And I make that promise to you tonight. If you send me to Charleston, I'll remember Nicholas County, and let's do what's best, not only for Nicholas County, but for all the 10th District, and let's do what's best for West Virginia. I have not been for sale as a pastor, and I will not be for sale in Charleston. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. The State Senate District 10. All right, I've got our last group, so I think we had a candidate say something about risk a biscuit, and it reminded me of hang in there like a hair in a biscuit. So we got one more group. Thank you so much for hanging in. This is for our Nicholas County Board of Education. Anita Brown Groves, Libby Kaufman, Bill Persinger, Debbie Tompkins. Again, as these candidates are coming forward, a lot of questions that were delivered to me today, and if I didn't get a chance to get to that question, whether that be because of time or other things, you are more than welcome to ask that question at informal meet and greet. Maybe afterwards, or I don't know if y'all want to hang around too much longer because, yeah, it's getting late. It's almost my bedtime, I feel like. So hopefully you can ask that question. All right, moving right along to our opening statements for Nicholas County Board of Education. Anita Brown Groves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anita Groves, and I'm a candidate for Nicholas County Board of Education. I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about myself and why I'm running. I've worked in the banking and financial industry for nearly 40 years. I've built a career centered on service, leadership, responsibility, and helping people achieve their goals. I've previously served as Vice President for Key Bank in the Pacific Northwest, and I currently am Branch Manager and Vice President for United Bank, and I manage the Summersville and Cowan offices, and I've proudly been there for over a decade. My husband Fred and I live in Canvas, and we're proud to call Nicholas County home. Family is at the center of everything I do. We have grandchildren in the Nicholas County school system, and they range from pre-K to a senior this year. Because of that, I have a personal investment in the success of our schools, not only just for our family, but for every child in the county. I'm running for the Nicholas County Board of Education because I believe our children deserve safe schools, strong leadership, open communication, and the very best opportunities to succeed. I want to be a voice for the parents, for the teachers, for the staff, and for the students. I believe we need accountability, common sense decision-making, and a focus on academic excellence while ensuring every child is supported and valued. With my background in leadership and budgeting, problem solving, and working with people from all walks of life, I believe I bring experience and dedication to this position. And most importantly, I care deeply about this community and our future. And our kids are worth it. Thank you.
Miss Libby Kaufman.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event here this evening. My name is Libby Kaufman, and I'm seeking a seat on the Nicholas County Board of Education in the Cherry District. I'm running to bring back transparency, accountability, and common sense to our education system and to get control back of our Board of Education. I was born and raised in Nicholas County and have spent my adult life living in Birch River with my husband Gary for the last 47 years. I attend a Melody grade school, a small community grade school, so I have a soft spot for our small community schools. And I'm a 1978 graduate of Nicholas County High School, which was the last class that graduated from this school. So, from these hollowed halls here. We are the parents of Amanda Barber and Adam Kaufman, who have blessed us with 5 wonderful grandchildren, all of whom are a part of the Nicholas County school system. Most of my adult life has been geared towards community service, consisting for a total, I'll tell my age here, 65 years of boardroom experience, of which 4 were devoted to the Nicholas County Board of Education. I've always been involved with the schools as our children were involved in school athletics and activities, and now we get to enjoy watching and participating with our grandchildren. Even though I do not hold a teaching degree, I've devoted 20 years of teaching the youth in Sunday school at our church. It is a rewarding experience to be able to watch the youth grow in knowledge and understanding. The children are our future, and I want to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be able to succeed in a safe and supportive learning environment. So I appreciate you hosting this again tonight, and I look forward to getting back on the board and getting back control of our Board of Education. Thank you.
Mr. Bill Persinger.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. Tell you a little bit about myself. I am running for the Nicholas County Board of Education, a 2-year unexpired term. So I'm running unopposed. However, I wanted to be here and I wanted to be able to answer questions and be seen that I do care about what we're doing. I'm married to my wife, Miss Dawn Lee. We've been married, 40 years in June. We will celebrate our 40th year anniversary. I've got 2 beautiful sons, Zach and Wes, 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws, Jillian and Abigail, and 4 outstanding grandchildren, Micah, Grace, Jotham, and Elias. So I'm blessed beyond measure with my family, I can tell you that. Work activity, I'm a retired captain, West Virginia DNR law enforcement, 27 years. Retired in 16. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel, United States Air Force, West Virginia Air National Guard, retired in 2023. And I've been retired for about 3 years now, driving my wife crazy and really enjoying my boat on Summersville Lake and not doing anything much other than honeydew jobs that I had to do. I'm asked often, why are you running? And I've got funny stories in saying that, and I say it to my friends, but they're jokes. Really, why am I running? I have spent my life in service, whether it be to my country or this state. And I guess I just felt like I was missing something, and I felt there was a need here. my wheelhouse is not education, and it's not being a financial wizard like Anita. So we've got that. We've got those people on the board. My wheelhouse is safety and security. If we as a board can make our schools safer for our students, our teachers, and our staff, then that is our goal. And that, other than getting the school board back. Thanks, Amy.
Miss Debbie Tompkins.
Well, that light is bright. I have to tell you that. First of all, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for inviting us here today. I have to say it's been a really eye-opening experience, and I've enjoyed it quite tremendously. My name's Debbie Tompkins. I'm a native West Virginian. I am a coal miner's daughter, and I'm also a very proud 25-year Army veteran and retired as a lieutenant colonel. So I know what hard work is. I started out as a private, I worked hard, and I also fell in love with teaching as one of my last duty assignments. I taught at Norwich University. And having seen that from the collegiate part, I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to retire. What am I going to do? Well, I was so in love with teaching that I had to find a place here in West Virginia. And I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to teach in Nicholas County. I taught junior ROTC, a little bit different classroom environment, but still the love of teaching was instilled in my heart. So after I retired from teaching, I went and lived at the beach for a little while. That didn't work out too good. 3 hurricanes and 2 tropical storms and COVID, we decided we needed to come back to the Mountain State. So then, you know, I'm looking around, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I care about these kids. I care about the education that they get, and I care about this state. If we don't have a solid educational base, then we're not gonna get those jobs that everybody's talking about, because they're not gonna invest. They're not gonna invest in this state if we don't have a good educational program here within our county. I believe that Nicholas County is one of the better counties in the state, and we've got to get the state out of our business and get control back. And I want to have that opportunity to do that for you. Thank you.
Miss Debbie, don't get too comfortable. Come right back to that podium. All right, we got us a question for all candidates.
Okay.
And we'll go the opposite direction, and then we'll change some up for these others. The question for all of you is, what are the biggest changes that you see that our BOE needs?
First of all, we need to instill the trust back between the student, the teachers, the parent, and the board members. Get the state out of our business, do whatever we have to do to meet the requirements, and work with that state-appointed superintendent until we have control on our own. Once we do that, I think then we can go about taking care of the bullying, taking care of the kids, all of them getting quality education, regardless of how they learn. Let's face it, folks, people learn differently. Some people can do books, some people do really well with hands-on. I think that we can strengthen our educational system by instilling, oh gosh, those cards come up too fast. I think that technical education, as well as preparing our kids for college, is where we need to go.
Mr. Bill, same question. What are the biggest changes that you see that our BOE needs?
Well, first of all, your Board of Education has zero authority as long as the state of West Virginia runs it. First priority, we got to figure out what we need to do to regain control of our board so that we've got a say. At this point, we're sitting there glorified, looking pretty in a chair, getting a paycheck, having no authority to make a decision or change, right? So we got to make that first priority. And there's a major disconnect between our parents and our teachers. And some things happens here that teachers are bound by laws and regulations that they can't be public about, whether it's confidentiality laws, and things like that. So we've got to find a forum where more information could be passed so that there is more understanding of what happens and what people are bound to by law and regulations. Thank you.
Ms. Libby, same question. What are the biggest changes you see that our BOE needs?
Well, I know over the last 7 years, we've lost 700 students, and that trend seems to be getting more and more every year. So we need to find out the cause of why so many of our students are electing to go to other education services other than, our public school system. I think that's one thing. I think one reason that I hear a lot of people talk about is the bullying. They feel their kids are bullied, so they want to bring them so they can protect them, and I understand that. Another thing that they say is behavior problems. The kids get in trouble at school, what's the first thing the parent does? They bring them out, they homeschool them. I am an advocate for parental choice, and I think we need to have that, but I also think there needs to be accountability that goes along with that.
Miss Anita, same question.
Okay. Well, the first thing we need to do is get the board back in local control. I disagree with us just sitting there on a board and doing nothing and collecting a paycheck. I 100% disagree with that. You can certainly do that. But if you know Anita Groves, I'm not going to sit there and keep my mouth shut about anything. I mean, if there's something that I need to have my opinion about, I'm going to voice it. I may not have a vote, but I will be your voice, the kid's voice, the parent's voice, whatever. But that's kind of how I roll. So, thanks.
Okay, this question is for all candidates, and Ms. Libby, we'll start with you this time. I'll try to state this the best way I can, but students today are on a one-to-one technology plan, meaning that they all have a device. Will you discuss your thoughts on excessive screen time and maybe what to do about that?
Okay, some of y'all probably don't like this, but I am against the kids having their cell phones in the classroom. I think we need to get back to the basics, and that's one thing that I think we've gotten away from is the basics. We need to be teaching our kids, the core subjects, reading, math, English, social studies. We've gotten away from that, and I think it's really hurting our children. It's hurting them in the fact that they're not able to, I guess, associate, in society the way that we did when we were growing up. I think we turned out pretty well. But kids today, they're all about their devices, and even in school, And I know whenever I was on the board before, we made sure every kid had a laptop because we were dealing with COVID. And they were homeschooling, schooling at home. So we had to do that. But looking back, I think we need to modify that and change that and get back to the pencil and paper a little bit.
Mr. Bill, same
Thank
question.
you, sir. Well, first of all, it starts at home, right? How do you expect your teachers to be the ones always responsible for your kids and their screen time if you don't take care of it at home? So get it done at home first. And then I agree 100% with Libby. During class, there is no need for a phone. There is no need. Now, I'm not saying they can't have it in their pocket. I'm saying never should a student be on their phone during a class. Now, they have free time. They can get out there. They can get on their phone, what have you, but not during lecture time, not during teaching time. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Miss Debbie, same question.
Well, I'm a little bit different. I believe in limiting screen time, period. And again, it does start at home. But I think when a student comes into the classroom, that phone needs to either be put in a cubby or locked up in their backpacks. They don't need it. If there's an emergency, they can grab their backpack and get on their phone then. But until then, they're there to learn. We're there, teachers are there to teach. So that means teachers need to put their cell phone away too. So students put their stuff up, teachers put their stuff up, and guess what? We're coming back to educating our kids. And isn't that the most important thing? So, thanks.
Miss Anita?
Yeah, I don't believe they need those all the time. Spoken with some educators about this. I like paper. I'm from old school. There's something about writing something down that makes you remember it. I remember having to write sentences when I was in school, when I was in trouble. But you have to, it's just a way of remembering. These kids and these screens, they can't even make eye contact with you anymore because they're so used to looking at these screens. And when they go to interview for a job, you can't, they won't look at you. Or if you're trying to, just communicate with them about anything. And, I think they need to know at least simple math by hand. I mean, that's how I learned, and I did okay. So I just think it's a good, I just think it's a good thing. Way too much screen time. That's all.
Okay, this question is for all candidates, and this time we'll start with Mr. Bill. Question is, educators who are often on the front line, they often know what the needs are, maybe better than some. How are you going to give them a voice in that decision-making process?
That's a good question. As you know, even when the school board has its authority, it's an unlimited authority. The authority really lies with the superintendent, okay? The superintendent of the schools run the school system. The board, the superintendent answers to the board, right? So, the teachers are living this every day. And I've talked to dozens of administrators, teachers, school safety directors, all over this state, including other superintendents. And there is, one, teachers need support, okay? And two, for them we have to have an ear to what the problems are and address those problems instead of leaving them on an island and telling them to suck it up and get through it, right? That's my idea about it. Thanks.
Yep. Miss Debbie? Same question. Educators who are often on the front lines often know what the needs are better than some. How are you going to give them a voice in that decision-making process?
Well, like I said before, when I taught school here in Nicholas County, it was a total different environment. I could make my students do push-ups, I could make them do flutter kicks, and the first time a kid said F you to me, I come unglued, okay? So the teachers have a very difficult, but if they do it right, rewarding job. Now, how am I gonna give them a voice? I want them to be able to feel like that they can come to us, even a member of the board, or the communication needs to flow. It needs to flow between that teacher, that educator, the parent, its board members, and to the superintendent. The only way that we're gonna fix things is to open our mouths and communicate. If we don't communicate, then we don't know what those issues are. I mean, we're sitting up there in our fluffy chairs, as Bill said, no, we're not going to do that. But, it is what it is. You've got to be able to talk to each other, communicate with each other, and, okay, red card.
Miss Anita, same question.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to do what I do now, and I get out and I volunteer in the classroom. We've been invited into people's classrooms, and they're happy to have you, and just kind of see what's going on. I mean, as you say, the superintendent is their boss, and they rule the school, but we can still see what's going on. And I think once you get in there and you see how the kids are interacting, are they paying attention to the teacher, are they playing on their phones? I mean, it's just, you just kind of have the inside scoop if you actually go there. I like to volunteer for the schools and just be involved. So.
Miss Libby, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Educators who are on the front line often know what the needs are better than some. How are you going to give them a voice in the decision-making process?
Well, first and foremost, I think our teachers need to be able to teach. They need to be able to be teachers. We've put so many restrictions on our teachers and gave them so many other titles, that they have to, provide for make sure the kids are clothed and they're fed and, and they're not able to be teachers. I know we have services, that should come in and help out with that, but like I said, I just feel like that our teachers are at a disadvantage. And I feel like that we do need to open the lines of communication and be able to let the teachers communicate to the board, through the superintendent or, on one-on-one, like Anita said, go out in the school. We can't go out and do it all together. You can't do that. It'd be a violation of the open meeting. But, we should take a school, each one of us, and go visit that school and just talk to the teachers and find out what it is that they need from us.
Yep. So just like the opening statements, I go through an order. We'll go in the reverse order for our closing statements. So, closing statements, Miss Debbie Tompkins.
This went a little quicker than I thought it was going to go. Once you're up here, it's kind of like, yeah, it goes quite fast. God, family, country. That's how I live my life. And I just want you to know that I am all about these kids. I want to get back to basics. I want to provide support to our teachers and to the administrations. I want to provide a safe learning environment. I want to have transparency and accountability. I want to support the teachers, parents, and bring back common sense into our school system. I'm humbly asking you for the opportunity to serve you. Any one of us up here will do a great job. I can guarantee you, we have a like mind, we think alike, we're all about the kids. So if you give us that, or give me that opportunity, I'd like to join this crew right here and make Nicholas County school system as good as it used to be. Thanks.
Mr. Bill Persinger.
We hear over and over and over, we're losing school population, right? We're losing funding, we're losing kids. I hear all these different reasons. When are we going to find the common denominator of why we're losing these kids and address that? All right? There's got to be root causes of why we're losing these kids. Let's find it, let's address it, and let's get our school population back up. That way we're not losing all this funding. All right? And I appreciate your vote. I realize I'm running unopposed, but your vote does mean something to me. Thank you.
Miss Libby Kaufman.
I'm seeking an election to the Board of Education with the goal of promoting transparency, common sense in our decision-making processes, as well as upholding physical responsibility for the benefit of both the students and the teachers. Drawing on my experience as a former board member, I understand both the challenges and the opportunities our schools face. I will work to restore county oversight by ensuring compliance with state guidelines and fostering greater accountability in school board operations, which I believe is essential for maintaining trust and effective governance within our school district. We need to get the trust back for our county. We need to get the county control back. I care deeply about the safety and success of each of our students and will provide strong leadership to make that a reality. I'm asking for your vote and support as we endeavor to restore integrity back to our county school system. Thank you.
And Miss Anita Brown Groves.
So we've heard a lot of things lately about things that are wrong with our schools, but I just want to bring up, the past couple of days, myself along with several other dedicated ladies have done scholarship interviews for Richwood High School and Nicholas County High School. And we have so many great kids. I mean, these interviews were amazing. And the kids they're happy. They're happy. They love where they are in their schools. And they've got determination and drive. So we can't give up on them. We have to work hard to do the best we can for them. And, you know, using a little common sense, having a lot of accountability, you know, just oversight in general, things can turn around. And I think we can do it, and we'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation. So I want to thank the candidates for all of those who came forward. I want to thank you, the audience, for being a part of that. Thank you for those viewers online and from the Summersville Area Chamber of Commerce. This concludes the Meet the Candidates evening. Thank you so much.